incredible. I couldn't have asked for a better gift at the end of this months-long endeavor. And, oh, I have a nice voice. Thank you, Retro Gaijin. I regret that I am not prepared for this occasion because literally I am stuck on this screen until this hourglass goes away. But what I'll do, because you guys have decided to stop by here and you've talked about my voice, I will read out the closing screen for what you get at this score. So just to give you an idea about what this playthrough was, we played a count in just some little corner of England. And the name of the game was to try and expand our empire out as far as we could. We opened franchises in the Middle East, in Hungary, we took over a bunch of Spain. And so once we hit the historical end to the game, System Shocks is one of your mods and fellow Vancouverite, absolutely correct. I don't want you to leave. No. Sorry guys for... Oh, hang on. It's done. Okay. So, closing menu, then we'll get on to some things to make to be exciting for you guys. Transcoding? What? My intelligence will crush you. I don't know if that's true, but... The Renaissance sweeps across Europe, and the feudal era draws to a close. With a score of 240,693, you beat Hautz Capet, descended from Robert the Strong, who was a power figure during the reign of Charles the Bald. His descendants would be kings of France in 1066. Although in 1322 the main line would die out, cadet branches still ruled until 1337, a year all of you should remember. Kings of France, Portugal, Naples, Hungary, and Navarra. Cadet branches would also hold the duchies of Brittany, Burgundy, Bourbon, Provence, and Achaia. One further cadet branch would hold the dignity of emperor as Latin emperors of Constantinople. Truly the greatest dynasty of medieval Europe. And here you see each individual ruler that I have played throughout this playthrough. In the bottom corner, there is the prestige and piety that they've earned, basically the great works that they've done over the course. So transcode is is the stream now actually able to be transcoded? Unfortunately, this is the best that you're going to get. I'm on crappy Vancouver internet upload speed. Well, actually, this isn't about Vancouver. This is about my poor self not buying a good internet package. What I want to show you guys is what we finished off with. In this playthrough, we had a figure known as Grandpa who fought independence from the Vikings. Gonna catch some shut-eye. Yeah, guys, I've got quality options. I'm pretty sure this all looks like mobile. That's awesome, guys. Again, Shan, I don't know what to say. Thank you so much. Middle East sounds like a bad idea. Jasso, I was the source of causing problems in the Middle East. Emperor Elizabeth the Magnanimous this is a period of time when I was asking people to suggest names for rulers, so somebody decided on Elizabeth. But we basically had this entire history of rulers, and we had a wonderful conclusion, Emperor Wonderbar, another chat recommendation. We're eventually going to get to the end of the line because I got the best ending possible to the closing years of the Middle Ages. We got Empress Wolfhild, the first female emperor of the House of Rose. At age 6, she got an event that said she was breaking the legs of rats so she could watch them roll. She was never in less than 2 wars until age 30. She took Jerusalem from the Islamic Caliphate, and her nickname is the Hammer of Britannia. So, a complete badass. Better PC fun. I have no idea who Anonymous just donated, but thank you very much for that donation. Guys, I mean, this is a pretty... PC fund, STARTEROO. Guys, thank you so much. Quality options are a thing. Yeah, people are talking about Comcast. I am a Canadian, a fellow Vancouverite with Seriously Clara. I am using Shaw Internet. This is maybe less of a complaint about Shaw, so much as just the internet package that I have in terms of affordability. Let me see if I can find out who put their name to that donation. Thank you so much. I'm a somewhat new streamer, so I'm not accustomed to having lots of follows and lots of donations. So thank you, guys. Where was your name? Clara, you donated? Thank you so much. That's the money that I'm getting here is actually designed for. So seriously, Clara, yes, your name showed up. For whatever reason, it's not showing up on the alert, but it is showing up in my Twitch alert. So thank you very much for that. Everybody, I'd like to give the credit to Clara for that donation. So, guys, There's a couple things that I was planning to do. As a kind of a reward for the milestone, I was actually going to put a game called Quiplash up, which is something that you guys can play on your mobiles and tablets, but the catch is that there's a maximum of 8 players. So let's take a quick minute here in terms of... My mic is muted. Is this true? No. The Beast Gamer. This is what happens with a large number of people. Thank you seriously, Clara. Have a wonderful night. You're passing out, but you love my voice. Thanks, guys. It's a little bit hard for me to follow chat right now. I'm not accustomed to such finery. But, so here's what I'll propose to you guys. Just feel free to spam it in chat. Anybody who wants to see this crazy European map game in action, I'm perfectly happy to play that for a little while longer for you guys. If you'd like me to do Quiplash first and then go back to Crusader Kings 2, say that. Just say the name of the game. Either Crusader Kings 2, Quiplash. Feel free to spam that in chat right now. There are no rules for chat, so if you want to try and push the... Quiplash is a comedy game, by the way. And it's something that can encourage some audience participation. If you aren't one of the 8 participants who are designing the lines, you can still be a participant in terms of voting. So there is still enough interactivity for everybody who's in chat right now. Totally into this European map game? Do what you want to do? Well, there's definitely... I mean, use your... I'll say use your good judgment in terms of what's going on. Well, the other thing we can do, if it's Crusader Kings, Quiplash is a relatively quick game. So, actually, okay, I'll make my my tyrannical decision. Sorry to invite chat to do that. I'm actually going to open up Quiplash really quickly. We'll do one round of it. I'll go back to Crusader Kings 2. So this will give you guys a chance just for a little mental break. I do encourage as many of you to participate as possible. So the way that this works is you can open up your browser, you can take your tablet, or you can take your mobile phone, anything that you want. Oh man, everybody's asking for Crusader Kings 2. If there's enough demand, I'll go back. But Quiplash is actually relatively quick. So what I'll encourage you guys to do is just go onto the website Jackbox TV. There's going to be a code that comes up. It's going to be first come, first serve. And enter in the room code. If you are not one of the first 8 inside, you can still participate by being an audience member. Oh, thanks. Okay, so that should fix the audio issues. Alright, if you guys can just let me know if the mic's still freaking out, but usually this fix should work. Uh-oh. Great, thanks guys. I think I might be a spectator to my own game. So if you guys open up your browsers to jackbox.tv, enter in that code APXC. I am going to need some participants. If I don't get participants, I'll just jump to Crusader Kings 2. But I guess I could explain what this game is about. The idea here is that you're going to get a prompt in terms of... you're going to get a prompt for like a fill in the blank or something like that. You need to do 2 of them within 90 seconds, and then there's going to be the comparison. Basically, the audience votes, the other 8 players vote in terms of which of the 2 responses to the prompts are funnier. Please keep in mind this channel doesn't have a mature filter, so if we can keep, I use your good judgment. I'm not going to be a Puritan on you guys, but let's try and keep things a little bit classy. There's a little static while talking. I'll just double check on here. I'll give it a few more minutes. If there's not enough interest on... okay, good, we've got 3. So I'd like to at least have 8 people. If we can't get 8 people, we'll just go back to Crusader Kings. But, well, to Beast Gamer, I guess there's a time for these sort of things. So I'd like to do this with 8 people if I can. Again, you can play this game in your browser. You can go to jackbox.tv. What you do is you enter in your name, the room code APXC. Again, the name of this game is that you're going to be getting 2 prompts. A good example of this would be something that's inappropriate to write in skywriting. And you type in your answer. It's going to get paired off with other participants. And you, again, if it's the funnier the option or for whatever reason it's more popular with the audience, you get a score based on the percentage of votes. So an example, what I wrote for the skywriting example, something that's inappropriate to write via skywriting is where's your plain peasants or something like that. Another example, what's something inappropriate to... You knew it was a troll because it was a troll. Yeah, I don't ban here, I just time out. But it's not a large impact on me to... Have I got into it yet? Well, I've got 4 people in here, so is there not that much interest in this game? I'll give it, probably won't be a full minute, but I'll give it a little bit longer. If you guys want to participate, you can use your tablet, you can use your browser, or you can use your, tablet, your browser, or your mobile phone. Jackbox.tv, enter the room code APXC, and we're good to go. Have I got into it yet? Distinguished gentlemen, I am in here. Who was that? Tuscan, thank you very much for the follow. And apologies to everybody who followed and I didn't give anything more. Okay, well, you guys were really patient with me in terms of the Crusader Kings 2 screen and the rest, so I'm going to go with 4 people here. I think you can still join after it starts up, so that's fine, we'll go with 4. We're just going to do one round of this, so if you're waiting for Crusader Kings 2, we'll go right straight back to it. But I actually bought this game specifically, and I promised the stream before the raid came in. So.
All right, good group. Now remember, if Gandhi were alive, this is exactly what he would be doing right now. This is round 1. 2 prompts will appear on your device, which you can answer in any clever or not clever way you want. Everyone will choose between your answer and someone else's and decide who wins. You score based on the percentage of players who like your answer. Plus, there are winners' bonuses at stake. Go!
Keep in mind you can still join the audience at this point, so... This game is great, you're not feeling 100% at the moment. That's totally fine, Leech. I mean, in the end, the job here is for the stream should be presenting the entertainment for you, but I definitely encourage you guys to play. I had a lot of fun playing this in the restaurant, although my answers aren't always that funny. So... I'm honestly surprised how good the stream looks with the bitrate, even the games that are fairly easy for encoding. Are you using Slowest encoding? No, I'm using medium. I just kind of, I sort of kept the parameters into, I don't even know how to explain it. I kind of set myself a target and then I just worked within the bitrate constraint that I had. Okay, so 20 seconds left for, I can't remember who Red was. I think this is Gentleman. This game definitely does not give you enough time to come up with good prompts, but we'll see whether or not anybody inside of the 4 who joined. Oh, by the way, thanks guys for joining the audience. I noticed we grew from 0 to 3.
Okay, it's time for some quiplashing. The first prompt is a good name for a restaurant that serves animals with the faces still on them. Okay, voting time. Pick your favorite.
Keep in mind you can abstain, although abstaining just means that the percentage of votes are going to... Like, you're just not going to have any say in terms of who gets a certain percentage. Congratulations, gentlemen. Thanks a lot, Litu. I really appreciate you
and next,
letting the audience know
something that would not work as well as skis. It's voting time.
Old porn mags or banana works better as skis. You just missed the vote because you're focusing on something else? Ah, that's fine. Again, if you don't participate in the vote, it's still based on percentage. So in this case, if you have one person vote, well, they get 100% of the vote. Oh, split.
Okay, next one. A good post-music career for Justin Bieber.
That's ISIS recruiter.
Devices.
So is anybody in chat familiar with this title? This is a new game from Jackbox, but they've created other games such as Fibbage, Wordspud, things like this. You don't know Jack? Man, an even split.
Next one. Something you shouldn't buy at a yard sale.
Illegal drugs or a
Time to
toilet.
vote.
Not seen this one specifically. Well, again, it's a brand new one. I think it got released on June the 30th. I believe it's about $10.99 on Steam for Canadians, probably a little bit less for Americans. One of the things that happened, I played this in a restaurant last night, and it was good, but you can definitely, like, the cheat code to the game is to write something dirty. Like, usually if you do something like a sex toy, people are going to vote for that
Round one
automatically.
is in the books. Let's see the scores.
Oh, you played Jackbox with another streamer not long ago, which was good fun. I actually really like Fibbage is a really good one. Gentlemen, in the lead, 1540.
Now round two, where all points and bonuses are doubled. The drama.
Man, I'm terrible at prompts. Yeah, that's a really good point, Mecha Fanboy. I haven't actually put a lot of time into it, so if the questions get repetitive, then it can be pretty irritating. Oh god, 37 seconds. Drawful is fantastic. I love the idea. So if
here we
anybody
go.
hasn't seen Drawful, it's like
Starting things
Pictionary.
A rejected safety technique for when you catch fire was to stop, drop, and blank. Okay, everyone, vote for your favorite.
If you're under 18, please look away from the monitor. So Drawful, what you'll do is you'll draw, and like it's relying on the fact that most people aren't very good at drawing on tablets. So what you do is you come up with a fake title for the thing that's been drawn, and then if people guess what you've done, if people guess your title rather than the actual title for it, you get the points. And then if people guess the actual title, then the person who drew it gets the points. So I definitely like these games which have asymmetry.
What the boogeyman is afraid of. Vote on your devices.
I believe both of these answers are the same thing. But yeah, Drawful gives you more opportunities because obviously the content that's created really comes from the players, whereas Fibbage kind of relies on. Oh, blown out. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Next in line,
Great minds think alike.
finish this sentence. When I'm rich, my mansion will have a room called the blank room.
Room that looks like a room.
Time.
I wasn't really good at this one. Me too. I haven't actually read Discworld, but I'm told the death character is something to remember. By the way, I'm just taking a look at the numbers on here. There's a lot of people who stayed after the raid. I really appreciate that, guys. We'll definitely be going back to Crusader Kings after this. But I need to fulfill a promise. Man. Okay, so there's one really loyal audience member. That wasn't a really good one. I think I would have probably done something about rich people if I had the time.
Next up, the most presidential name you can think of that isn't already the name of a president.
Oh god, I want to see what people do to this.
Time to vote.
Thanks, gentlemen. Discworld's really something special. Yeah, I mean, there's something about the... oh god, my tablet shut off. I don't think I got my vote in on time. Oh, nobody voted except for the audience. Thank you, audience, for being on the trigger. Yeah, I mean, everything that I've heard from
That's the end of round 2. Let's take a look at the scores.
from people who've read Discworld has been nothing but just glowing. They seem to be really cherished by the people who read them. Actually, Lee, too, on that note,
This is round
there's obviously
3,
a lot of
the
them.
last lash. Points are tripled, and everyone gets the same one single prompt this time. Your last lash prompt is... An odd casting choice would be Clint Eastwood as blank.
What would you say is the best place to start for Discworld books?
Okay, soak it in.
Moment of truth.
Okay, in this round, you have 3 votes to give to players.
Hey,
You can give them all
Jazzfoo.
to one player
This
or
is thanks
spread
to
them out.
W. Shand. All right, 3 votes. Oh, that's right, Jazzfoo. Well, I'll be jumping back to Crusader Kings 2 just after this anyway, so... So this is the only asymmetry between audience members and players. Players get 3 votes, audience members only get 1. So I think we're waiting on one more audience member. And we will find who the champion is. And Clara. Thank you, Mecha Fanboy. Absolutely correct. Thank you, gentlemen. Man, gentleman's rocking the Jackbox game. I think he murdered everybody.
That's it. Let's take a look at the final scores.
Special congratulations to the distinguished gentleman. I'll give him a special shout out and he had the top entry. Oh, and Bill Nye actually tied with Bill Nye with the room that looks like a room. So, distinguished gentleman, actually I ran into when I was playing Civilization 5. He is from the UK, so he doesn't always get a chance to stop by the stream. But tonight, because we were going late, we got to have him in chat. So, you guys did a fantastic job of bearing with me while I indulged in my Jackbox entertainment. I'll maybe ask you at the end of Crusader Kings 2 whether or not you'd like to do some more of that, but I did promise you guys I would jump back to Crusader Kings 2, so let's throw that up on the screen. And by the way, thank you very much for the recommendation there, Litu. Oh, one thing that I've done is this is the version of the game that you're going to see here has all of the DLC, including the cosmetic DLC. So this is a fairly representative version of the game that you need to spend about $200 for. So you all can decide whether or not it is worth that price. All right. I think it took you 6 to 9 months to listen through all of them as audiobooks on the books. Yeah, Lita. I think actually probably I'll do what you do, which is to just start with the first book that was published. Okay, Jespu, you have to play this again so you can see it, and by again you mean someday. Yeah, I mean, Jespu, I might do it at the end of the stream. It's quite late for me right now, but I think at this point, in for a penny, in for a pound, I'll just sleep during the day. So, oh, T-Cakes is also in the UK. Thanks for stopping by, T-Cakes. I hope I can give you... I'm definitely not going to be able to match up to Shand. I don't think anybody really can, but we'll do our best. So, I'll give you a little bit of an idea about what this game is about, for those of you who aren't familiar with... Crusader Kings 2. This is a game by Paradox's game development studio. If you see this big, complicated map of, well, normally Europe, but they've added India and Muscovy. This is a grand strategy game. Grand strategy is a concept that is also kind of comes up in the real world. It's the idea of employing all of the resources of the state, not just the military, but economic influence, diplomatic influence, to achieve a state's overall goals. If you think about how people behave in the real world, very rarely is it Pinky in the Brain sitting in an office saying, you know, how do we conquer the world? Although I suppose in some senses that's what everybody wants to do. So what Crusader Kings is about is it takes place in the Middle Ages, so the earliest start date that you can get is 769 AD. It will run till 1453 AD, which is where you saw that end title screen. And you can play pretty much anybody. When I did my very first game, which is the one that we just concluded, I started as the Count of Westmoreland, this little area over here. And you can see that the difficulty of actually accomplishing this is fairly high. Alternatively, maybe you don't want to be the Count of Westmoreland. Maybe you would like to take over the remnants of the old Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, which would have you Basileus Constantinos of the Byzantine Empire. As you can see, the difficulty of playing an empire is significantly lower. Perhaps you're not interested in playing Western-influenced regions. Perhaps you'd like to you'd prefer to be an Islamic caliphate. In this case, Caliph al-Mansur is your option. Alternatively, one of the things that I can say about this game is it does a very good job of communicating information visually to you, which is what this is about, because this game is extremely complicated. You've got individual stats for your characters, so there's some RPG elements to it. There's definitely very heavy history to it, and if you want to consider this, definitely not like Civilization, if you look at each of the lines on this map, these are all the individual counties, and each one, if you take a look at it, each one has a different individual ruling over it. And alternatively, counties are ruled over by dukes, which are duchies. There are kings over duchies, and finally emperors over kings. If you prefer to go by religion, maybe I want to play... well, I already talked about Sunnis, so let's go for Tengri ruler. If I want to choose by religion, I can get that as well. Alternatively, I can search by culture. You have the Italians only in the middle of Italy, whereas the Lombards are in the north. Of course, we don't have the French yet. It is the Frankish peoples. And likewise, the English don't exist yet. They're Anglo-Saxons. So there's a lot of depth to this game, and so the way that you make sense of it is to convey as much information as you can visually, find out what's most important to your individual goal, and in the end, the game is scored over your prestige and over your piety, which ultimately is a reflection of the actions that you take. So this can sometimes mean making the biggest empire which you can find, which is what I did in the previous playthrough. Another thing you could do is maybe just try to keep your family alive as a small part in a kingdom over the course of a long period of time. So Let me just catch up with chat. It's so hot outside. Man, it's hot even in the middle of the night right now. Yes, it is 4 o'clock in the morning for me, distinguished gentlemen. Jespu, I don't normally stream this late, but seeing as Shan just dumped 100 viewers into my channel, I sort of feel obligated to teach them Crusader Kings 2. So does anybody have something they'd like to see? I have a half a mind to play a Irish tribesman and to turn them into a merchant republic. But we could go the other way around and maybe try to restore the glory of the Roman Empire. Could be followers of the Prophet. Oh, hang on. I think there's a Jewish ruler in here. I can't remember how you get them, but there's an achievement for founding the Kingdom of Israel. Maybe he's a duke? That's disappointing. That would have actually been fun if I could find the if I could have done the Israel achievement. You want to see Charlemagne? I can do Charlemagne. Stoner Can, thank you very much for the follow.
I would never want to belong to any club that would have someone like me for a member.
So in this case, he's known as Karl of West Francia, or Carloman. Actually, so if you are interested in this game yourself, if you select the early Middle Ages, it'll actually give you some recommended starts. Now, the catch is that you can't play what's known as Iron Man mode, which is the way that you unlock achievements in this game. So Carloman Carling. What am I saying? So Carloman became the joint king of the Franks, together with his brother Karl. The two brothers were not friends, rather a rivalry ensued. Carloman outmaneuvered his brother's alliance with the Lombards and sought the support of the Pope in order to counter this, but did ultimately not succeed. Wait a minute. So it is Who was Charlemagne? I thought I knew... I can't remember which one became Charlemagne. It has to be Karl. Yeah, son of Pepin the Short, descendant of Charles. Oh, hang on. Yeah. Charlemagne or Karl is his contemporaries calling. Shouldn't doubt myself. In any case, it'll give you recommended starts. In this case, I'll just play King Karl of West Francia. I'll turn on Iron Man mode. I won't bother looking for what the achievements are. But basically what Iron Man will do, it's just like playing an XCOM. It's automatically going to save over your game when you make a decision or when a certain period of time passes. So you can't declare war, get your ass kicked, and then find out, and then just reload the game. So we'll start a new game as Charlemagne. Oh, that's right, gentlemen. Did you find out what school you're going to yet, or are you still pending on that? All right, so one thing I'll give credit to these Paradox games for is they look beautiful. So clearly the least interesting thing to look at on these maps are the geography. We know that Russia, or what will one day become Russia, is a frozen wasteland. We know that England is green in the south and snowy once you move up to Scotland. We also know that Iceland actually has quite a bit of ice, counter to stories. And, as you might expect, the Sahara Desert has a lot of sand. You like the idea of an Irish merchant playthrough? Well, Jasper will make up another file, and we will do that in the future. So I got beaten by the request. Who requested Charlemagne again? Somebody said Charlemagne. T. Clark. Okay. So T. Clark asked for Charlemagne, and I didn't get to see your comment, Jaspoo. But that's fine. There's no shortage of opportunities for me to do different playthroughs of Crusader Kings 2. So again, you can take a look at this pretty map, but you are eventually going to want to take some actions. One of the things I'd like to do for these playthroughs is sort of explain how do you start with a game like this. The first thing that you can notice is your rank. So in this case, as indicated by the title, King Karl of West Francia, you are a king. This is also indicated by the gold ring around you. This means that you have vassals beneath you. Dukes are indicated by silver rings with blue kind of wrapping around their around their edges, and then below them are counts. And these are people who are basically in control of individual counties. So if you want to see the map from the duchies, what dukes hold, you can break it up this way. This gives you no indication in terms of what part of the kingdom they're in. In that case, you can go for de jure kingdoms. But the important thing here is that this is, by law, what the historical West Francia is. The de facto kingdom is this, quite a bit larger than what their traditional holdings were. So I find myself here, January 1st, 1769, the earliest start that I can get in the day, and there's a few in the game, and there's a few different things that I can do. What you start off with is your individual ruler. The game will continue until the end of the medieval period, which will be again 1453. Or it will also end when your bloodline ends. So this would either mean that you no longer have any titles to your name. Alternatively, that can also mean that you have no descendants, and so your bloodline dies out. It just goes up to whoever is next in the succession. Usually it's whoever, if the entire bloodline is wiped out, it's usually just whoever the king is of the area that you hold. So in this case, you have some individual stats. They kind of do what you'd expect them to. So diplomacy increases your relations with your vassals. Martial is a reflection of your military ability. It affects the size of the armies that you can field, as well as your own personal ability to do combat. You've got stewardship, which will affect the number of individual holdings that you can have. So you can only be the lord of so much land. If you take too much, you're not going to be able to manage it well. And so stewardship will allow you to hold on to more than what you normally have. Intrigue will allow you to do certain things like spying, or more importantly, assassinating people. We had more than a few wives who were murdered at the hands of kings who really just wanted somebody younger and who could bear a male heir. And then finally, learning, which tends to affect your technology. In this case, it would appear that Charlemagne, despite his reputation for being the one who founded schools, has a very low learning on his own. So these are more for your information. You're not necessarily I'm not really going to build a strategy around saying, well, I have 3 learning, so I'm not going to do any research. One of the things that you can use to sort of fulfill one of the things that you can do to give yourself some guidance in terms of what you want to accomplish is, first of all, take a look at your screen. For instance, there's a fairly weak kingdom here, which is kind of ripe for invasion. But the other thing that you can do is set yourself some ambitions. So some ambitions that I can set, I can amass wealth. If I have a personal wealth of 500 gold, I gain 1 stewardship. I could also aspire to be a paragon of virtue, and this means that I amass a piety of at least 500. You can get piety through a few different things. For this, I would gain 1 learning and 100 additional piety. And then there's a bunch of other things here that will happen to the Catholic Church. As I said, this is a very complicated game, so it's probably not worth it to read every single detail in terms of the success effects. I'm worried about what happens to me. I get 1 learning, which is going to improve my technology. I get 100 piety, which is something that's used to score the game. Both prestige and piety are used for the score. And then in terms of things like the moral authority of the church, I'll worry about that when I need to look at that, because anything that you see in this game, probably you're only going to need 1 small part of the information that the game throws at you. The next thing that I can do is want to become exalted among men. Now, it's actually possible for me to achieve this because I have a very large amount of land. So my current prestige is increasing by 4.94 a month. That's basically 5 a month. And then there's certain actions that I can take to improve the prestige as well. But the easiest thing for me to do right now is to get married. Marriage is clearly going to be the way that you wind up producing heirs. Right now, my rival, Carloman, will inherit the kingdom once I die. So instead, I'm going to find somebody else that I can use to create a legitimate heir. Now, there's a few different ways that you can do this. Marriage is the only way that you can create alliances in this game, as is kind of historical. So the other thing that you want to try and do is marry into a family that will give you fairly high prestige ranking. So you can tell that you're going to get an alliance by looking at these blue flags. And then in terms of prestige, you tend to do this by looking at ranks, although it's you're generally not going to expect any women to actually be landholders in this period. This is 769 AD. It's not exactly the most progressive period of history. So one tempting option right here would be to marry a Greek. In this case, this will bring me an alliance with Doge Leon of Amalfi. I certainly can't tell you where that is, but the Greeks do put me in line with the Byzantine Empire. An even closer connection to the Byzantine Empire I can do by clicking on it, bringing up who is currently ruling it. And currently the Issaros family is in control. So if I can find that family under people who I can marry, then I'm going to have some success and that as well. You can sort by clicking the dynasty button here. But I don't actually need that. There's not that many to pick, so I'm just going to take a quick look here. So it looks like... Oh, hang on. She's 12, but she's an iconoclast. So it's very tempting to have this relationship, but I don't want to... The problem that I have here is that she is a member of a different religion, which will bring in some instability inside of my kingdom, which is the last thing that I want if I potentially have a war that's going to happen. So what I'll consider instead are some of the other features that I would want in a wife. Lustful is a good feature, although she's 22, so is somewhat old by the standards of this game. By the way, you can't actually marry 12-year-olds. This is becoming betrothed, and then for 4 years. 16 is a marryable age. So, ideal that it's lustful, not ideal that she isn't 16. However, my other alternative is this. I'm definitely attracted to the idea of the Lombards because, of course, they are close to Francia, so it's possible that I may be able to call them in on a war, or at least prevent them from being called in on a war against me. So it's tempting to establish this relationship. Alternatively, also establishing a connection with who will ultimately become the English, the Anglo-Saxons, are also attractive. She has the benefit of being 16, so is going to be able to bear children for a longer period of time. But in this case, I'm actually going to go for the 22-year-old lustful wife. Doesn't have the best stats, but in this case is going to, one, complement my low learning. So that's one stat that's important. Lustful is going to give me a better chance of a son. So even though she's technically older, I don't need to worry so much about that. So I just select her here. Oops. This doesn't seem to be... Why isn't this doing what I want it to do? There we go. So the effects of this marriage, marrying King Carl and Princess Dauphaedra, I gain 3 prestige for marrying into the House of Aisling, so the rulers of Lombardy, and then nothing for marrying the relative of a king because I'm a king myself. I don't need to worry so much about that. This game seems pretty interesting. You like long-lasting and extensive strategy games. Yeah, this is the trick. So as long as it doesn't require too much micromanagement is a little bit of a judgment call. So in some senses, you can just let your kingdom run on its own, and you'd probably be perfectly content. What I like to do is I prefer to just kind of consider the individual things that I can control. So for instance, I've sent off this request for marriage. I'm quite confident that it's going to be accepted, so that achieves my current goal of establishing a legitimate heir for my existing bloodline. I do have 2 children, but both of them are bastards. I don't have a wife yet, so in this case, I need to get married right away. Thank you, City. You haven't taken over the whole world yet? Wishand, you should have seen... First of all, thanks for hanging out here. I've utterly failed you as far as your host, but I really appreciate you doing that. By the way, you guys should know W. Shand. I've given more than a few hosts at the ends of these Fridays, but if you guys have not hit follow on him, number one, you're doing yourself a tremendous favor. He is an incredible caster, but if you've not casted, you have no idea how great the kindness he showed me by hosting him at the end. He is somebody who hosts a really great stream, so to send it to something like me is a very significant act on his part. So, thank you, Litu. So, well, thank you, Shand. I definitely appreciate it, but giving me a host like that is something else. So again, like I kind of keep repeating this about this game, is that it's easy to get lost in this massive spreadsheet, right? Like you can make the joke that this is the Middle Ages dating simulator, because what did I do? I just spent a time on like digital Tinder deciding whether I wanted a 12-year-old Greek wife or the 22-year-old lustful Italian, right? But what you really want to do here is you want to start on what I consider to be sort of the individual level controls. And then you start moving out from that into broader strategy. So, maybe I want to completely take over Middle Francia. Like, I'm pissed off at my brother. I want to completely take over everything of his. Well, I mean, one way I can probably do that is kill his heir, right? Or I could attempt to kill his wife, then kill him, then kill his heir. How old is the kid, by the way? 0? Okay, well, actually, let's start by trying to kill my brother. The way that you attempt to assassinate somebody is you can invite people in their court to join. I don't actually want to spend any money on this, but we can start by taking... Now, there's a chance that I'll be discovered by this, but I believe if I kill him and then his heir, I will inherit his kingdom, and at that point, we control more land than... we control existing France, the Netherlands, and half of Germany. Chalk always picks his women this way. Yeah. You can never go wrong with a lustful Italian. So again, I can say what... So this is an example of how I will achieve a long-term or a broader world strategic goal. Clearly trying to bang heads with the other Carlings. I have a small military advantage. Like right now they have 906 troops compared to my 550, but I also need to consider their allies. So there's a similar menu for this potential rival. Oh, actually, I'm apparently his ally. So actually, theoretically, I can just run in and invade his kingdom. But it seems to me a lot easier. The best that I could hope for would be to create a cause. You can't just declare war arbitrarily in this game. The way that you would do that would be to right-click on your opponent and declare war. It'll tell you specifically why you can't do that. It actually looks here like I do have a valid casus belli. It seems like I'm born with that. Yes, I do have a claim. Okay, so I do have a claim on Middle Francia. Unfortunately, it seems that it costs me prestige to do this. I believe that's because I would be attacking a family member. So in this case, I don't have 50 prestige to lose, so I can't just declare war. And so it seems to me that attempting to assassinate my brother and just inheriting the kingdom that way saves me a lot of bloodshed. And instead I can start focusing on things like trying to take over what is... This is Brittany here, but specifically the individual counties are Domnonia. I'm terrible at pronouncing these things. How many actual shots did Shan take? 10? 10 sounds like... lots of practice making war, yeah. All right, I got a little sidetracked on that, but I was going to say 10 shots sounds like a late evening for for Check the Deaths. So one thing that they recently added in the most recent DLC is called Way of Life, which is a focus for your overall life. So in addition to having this ambition to getting married, you can actually pick a focus right now. So I could be carousing, which in this case will increase my diplomacy by 3. It does have certain conditions, so it says I can't be Muslim. Apparently they have this thing against drinking and eating bacon. You cannot be ascetic. Again, ascetics tend not to overindulge. And you can't be a prisoner, because generally prisoners don't get a chance to go out to the tavern that much. I always need a silly casus belli while let me pick fights just for the hell of it game. Well, I mean, in the previous game that we were playing, we tried to make sure that we got as close to as many Islamic countries as we could, because having a different religion is sufficient to declare war on somebody in this game. Next thing you could say, family. So your diplomacy goes up by 2, your fertility goes up by 25%. So this is ideal for me because, again, it prevents my brother from inheriting the kingdom. So this is I'm considering this as a fairly strong priority right now. Again, just consider what I'm trying to do here. As I'm saying, I've got my individual focus at the moment, but this focus is informing my long-term ambitions of making sure that it's my bloodline that stays in place, and that I do as much as I can to suppress my brothers. The next would be theology, so this will improve my learning. It builds up something that I'm doing, that I'm fairly weak on. It also increases my temple vassal opinions, and if you have high opinions from your temple vassals, the bishops start giving some of the tithes to you rather than the Pope. The Reformation hasn't occurred, so Protestantism doesn't happen until the next game that Paradox has created, which is Europa Universalis 4. And curiously, religious strife is not something that you want in any of your countries. How good is Crusader Kings 1? I've never played Crusader Kings 1. So the game that you saw me finish was the very first full game of Crusader Kings 2 I ever played. Top seller on strategy is Counter-Strike? Well, I mean, in some sense, like, there's definitely emergent strategies, but yeah, it's not the first thing I would consider when I think of, like, this is a clear example of grand strategy, of employing every tool of the state to achieving your ends. I would not consider CSGO to be strategy to the level of Crusader Kings. Scholarship, again, is just this is a pure play for learning, and right now I'm not that interested in doing technological research. I have ambitions on either assassinating my brother or establishing my bloodline, ideally doing both. Business stewardship, so again, maybe if I wanted to take that ambition of amassing wealth, this would be a good idea. Furthermore, rulership. So again, this is a pure play towards higher stewardship. In this case, again, this would be good for taking over certain territories, which I might consider later, but I want to be very narrow in my particular focus. So remember how I was talking about assassinating my brother? Well, now I've got intrigue, +3. If I wanted to have halfway, I could choose seduction. So now I have a couple of interesting options. I could go for family, which directly improves my diplomacy and my health by 25%. Or I could go for seduction, increases my intrigue, my fertility, and my sex appeal. Hunting increases my martial ability and my health. And finally, war, which is just a pure play for martial. Because, let's face it, guys, you don't know how to play Crusader Kings if you don't pick seduction. My very first focus in the Way of Life pack is going to be the seduction focus. Yeah, Litu, it's a... Oh! Gentlemen? Let's hold the phone. Before I go any further, my very first seduction. Damachok, I thought I told you can't use artificial tools to increase my seduction. Alright, guys. I have a copy of Crusader Kings 2 to give away. This game is definitely not for everybody. So what I will do here, if anybody would like to be... What this is going to be for Crusader Kings 2, which for the Canadian price is $43. And the Sons of Abraham expansion, and I believe I have one other one to give away. It'll be 2 expansions. I don't have a fancy way of doing this. So the only requirement that I have is that you be following the stream. I am going to use this fancy giveaway tool. Normally I just load in the names, but I don't want to give this I don't want to give this to somebody who doesn't have any use for it. So what I'm going to do over the course... Oh, Rad the Killer. What I'm going to do over the course of the time, I'm not going to do the game right away. I'm just putting this up in the background. But if you're interested enough by what you're seeing, and once I start running for the next couple of turns, if you think this is the sort of thing that you might want to put some time into, I'll invite people to mention something in chat and I'll add you onto it. So I'm just keeping this up in the background so I don't have to load it later. I will do a little bit of the game too. Thank you everybody for the follows. But yeah, I just want to be clear, I'm not doing the giveaway right now, but to give you an incentive to hang out and see if this is your kind of a thing, We'll do a couple of turns. I'll show you a little bit about what the game is like. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in chat. I love talking about these games with you guys. And then once I've had a little bit of time to give people a chance to sort of look under the hood and see what the game is about, I'll do a giveaway for the core game and a couple of the DLC. Okay? So yeah, Litu, I was going to say thank you for mentioning that. So again, I'll be very clear in terms of when I'm opening it up and doing the giveaway. But I just wanted to let you guys know that was going to be happening. Can you get it and give it to someone? Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I would definitely prefer that it go to somebody who would like this game and is willing to put in the time, because it is definitely a very complicated game. I'm definitely committed to making as many people as possible learn to appreciate this game. So if you have wanted to try this game and you've never been able to get into it, I like doing those kinds of explanations. But again, I've been meaning to give this away for a while. I'm happy to do it, but because we've got a bunch of new faces in here, I also want to give this a chance to actually show people what the game is like once you unpause it. So, you want to help lead to? But yeah, I mean, listen, what you do with it after the fact is okay. This is entirely on your honor, right? So there's no way for me to tell if you are going to like this game, or if you're just going to hawk it off and try and trade it on Steam or something like that. But again, I'd love to share this game with people as well. So again, just bear with me for a little while. I'm going to talk a bit more about the game so you can sort of see what it's about and get a bit of an idea in terms of, I probably can't do combat, but I'll at least give you guys a fair shot to see if this is something that you might be interested in. And then I'll do the draw before we get too heavy into it. But I think that's a really good way to thank you guys for hanging out with this stream for such a long time. So, and it got me a couple extra followers, it looks like. So I've done pretty much everything I can at my individual level, right? You've got my individual titles, so I'm the count of a number of different areas. I can actually create a bunch of different titles as well, but that tends to cost money. If you have a title, you gain prestige. You also kind of create this... you can make people like you more by giving them titles and things like that. But I don't actually have the money to do that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to move away from my individual ruler, who I've now become a seductive, 26-year-old with an lustful Italian wife. You never thought I'd watch a game like this, but I make it look interesting. Thank you very much, City. Crusader Kings and Europa Universalis 2 are two of the best game series ever made. King Bradley, the best is definitely a very exalted titles, but this is definitely a very unique kind of game, and I think if you like these concepts of grand strategy, I think you can get a lot out of them. So I'll agree. The complexity of the game is off-putting to some people, but I think it's an incredibly rewarding experience. Like, I can't tell you what it felt like to finally get through my first Iron Man playthrough of it. So that's nice chance to share that with you guys. So we've shifted over from our ruler. This is us. And again, we're going to be playing the succession of rulers over the course of this game. And now we're going to start looking to the tools of state. Behold, the tools of state. You have your Chancellor, Marshal, Steward, Spymaster, and Court Chaplain. Court Chaplain is going to be responsible for things like learning. You can proselytize, so you can try and convert religions. You can research cultural technology. So in this case, we're at the very beginning of the Middle Ages. There's almost no technology to speak of in this place. And if you want a map in terms of technological progress, let's take a look and see maybe who the most advanced cavalry are.
I would never want to belong to any club.
Wasteland something. Thank you very much for that follow. Rarely watch games, you watch people, but this game seems actually interesting. As opposed to the streamer who's boring. SC does a really solid job explaining the game, which is helpful because Paradox games have a whole hell of a lot going on. Yeah, and their tutorials really aren't that good, but I tend to notice the community is very good at promoting these things. Have I ever played Europa Universalis and Victoria 2? Yeah, I have Victoria 2 on my PC. I haven't played it. I finally got into Europa Universalis fairly recently. I'll actually be playing that on stream a little bit more. But to give you this idea, remember how I was talking about how this game is about finding the right information at the right time? When you go into the technology menu and you say it's like, I want to know who has the best cavalry, well, you have a heat map. So the dark areas are people who know nothing about cavalry. And it turns out the Byzantine Empire, again, the remnants of the old Roman Empire, curiously enough, happen to have the best cavalry. Not necessarily that surprising. Maybe let's turn around and say, I am interested in majesty, which increases your prestige. Same deal? Well, it turns out, maybe in the Byzantine Empire, but actually when you look at the Abbasid Caliphate, which eventually, over time, these regions are going to form into something like the Ottoman Empire. Obviously, the Abbasids themselves are a huge historical figure. But in this case, let's say you wanted to be researching technology, you wanted to send your spy master to steel technology, you're going to have a better time going to these regions than, let's say, the frozen north. And, north of the wall, there's no majesty. Also, again, further Muslim countries. Again, if you want to think about where we are in terms of history, Muslim culture is what is preserving the works of the ancient Greek philosophers. The mosques that they built are absolutely beautiful. If you want to look at what high culture was at this time, you would look to Muslim empires. So in this case here, this is reflected in terms of the different kinds of technology in these areas. So if I wanted to do research to cultural tech, I would get my court chaplain. Now I was talking about how the clergy may be able to give me some extra money. If you look, there is the opinion of the Pope, which in this case, this person loves the Pope, 98 out of 100, and they like me by 61. So what I can do is I can send my court chaplain to kind of butter up the bishops and try and get me on their side. So a perfect example of a place where I can get a little bit more money would be this guy who likes the Pope 58, so just a little bit better than half. But they like me by 21. So in this case, there's a lot of room for improvement for me, and I don't need, like, if I just get myself another 37 influence points, they're going to be taking that church money. It's not going to be going to the Vatican. It's going to be going into my pocket. In contrast, there's somebody who likes the Pope by 100 and has an opinion of me of 72. So I'm not going to be using my bishop well. All of this territory is a potential place for me to use this bishop. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to find that I'm going to find where that bishop lives as far as swaying his influence. I think I'll start with I've got 3168, so in that case that's 37, and this seems to be the easiest. So he is the Bishop of Mainz. So in this case here, I just pick Improve Religious Relations, send him to Mainz, and he's going to be stuck there for a little while. He uses learning. He's got a rating of 21. It's one of the highest that you can get in this game. DJ Cool Crusader, good to see you back again. Yeah, King Bradley, the game is overwhelming at first, but it's worth giving a shot. I will say that Crusader Kings 2 I was actually able to pick up with... I found the wiki after the fact, so I was able to pick it up on its own merits, but it's not for everyone. I definitely had to struggle through quite a few concepts, which I'm kind of explaining to everybody right now. You've been supposed to get water for a while now, but you can't get yourself to move away. If it's about the giveaway lead to, I will not start it until you come back. Feel free to get a water. But if you want to just keep listening to me talk, I'm happy to do that as well. It's been a long time since I've had a break, but that's fine. I'm having fun with you guys. All right, so again, we've used one of our tools of state. My Spy Master, there's a few things that I can use. If I felt that I was in danger of if I was in danger of an assassination attempt myself, I might want to scheme inside of my capital. Let's say, alternatively, I want to improve this case against my brother, which I do. I'll find out where he's currently residing. I'm assuming that's in the capital, but you can always confirm that by putting it over the individual. He is currently in Troyes, which is exactly here. So this isn't necessarily the best thing to do with your Spy Master at the start, but I'm pretty determined to kill my brother, and she's got a really high rating, so I'm just going to send her to the capital to build this spy network and improve the chances of this assassination being successful. Now remember, I was talking about how I wanted to create some titles, but I didn't have enough money for it. This is what my steward's for. I can use him to improve construction. I can also get him to do research into economy tech, but the best thing for me to do right now is to send him to collect taxes in one of my provinces, and probably the most likely province where I'm going to be getting a lot of money would be my capital. Stephen Lynch, thank you very much for the follow. As a German, I couldn't call Mainz better than you. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys, for the pronunciations. Yeah, T. Clark knows well that you can go into an economic deficit trying to kill your wife. Gonna go AFK? Alright, thanks, Jazzbooth. We will see you later. It's not about the giveaway. The kitchen's like right next to me. It's just very interesting stuff. That's awesome. So had to rush to the kitchen though anyway, as you remembered you were cooling some hot chocolate in the freezer. That's awesome. All right. So now I've got my marshal. My marshal's going to be concerning himself with military. Now there's a few things I can use. If I felt I was in danger of a revolution, I could use him to suppress that revolution. Again, This game is about information, so you can use the map to determine that. There's a couple of border provinces which have a little bit of a risk, but I also have a fairly strong military. What is likely, though, is I want to do an invasion to these territories as quickly as I can. If I take a look at the counts, they've got 344 men, they've got, 556 men. Like, these are just weak areas which don't have any allies. This is just begging to be gobbled up by a larger political entity. So in this case, my plan is going to be to attack these areas and claim them for myself, as is kind of the way these things work. So what I'd like to do there, because I'm going to be using my military fairly soon, it makes sense for me to train troops in my capital. The final tool that I use is my Chancellor. So you can use it to improve diplomatic relations. If I wanted to see how my vassals think about me, I can organize it by opinion. As you can see, there are some people who have a negative 100 opinion of me, and there are some people who have a positive 72 opinion of me. Nobody has a positive 100 opinion. So one thing that I can do is I could use my Chancellor, my diplomat, to go and improve individual relations. I can also use him to sow dissent. But the most likely use for a Chancellor, the thing you're most likely going to use them for over the course of a playthrough of Crusader Kings 2 is the fabrication of claims. Remember how I was saying that if you don't have a valid cause, you can't declare war? In this case here, I take a look at my requirements, and in this case it says King Carl of West Francia, me, must have a valid casus belli to declare war. In that case, translate it to just cause, good cause. Effectively, I need to have a reason for going to war. That reason could be a holy war. That reason could be, in Europa Universalis, a diplomatic insult. A terrible yo mama joke could be a reason to invade. But in this case here, I effectively need to create a cause. A great example of this, so any of you who had to read Henry V in English class, or you saw the film, or you went to a Shakespeare festival or something like that, in the opening, there's this scene where, I'd love to grab the play right now, but the scene is huge. And there's this old steward who kind of goes over to explain what Henry V's claim on France is, and he just goes through this huge, complicated list of, family titles and memberships and things like that. It's clearly nonsense. And he finishes with a joke. It's as you can clearly see, Henry's claim is just. And this is basically so that scene is what sending your diplomat to fabricate a claim is. He's just going in, researching titles, trying to come up with any flimsy reason to say that, this territory has been in my family since the ancient Roman times, and, we're coming back to claim our birthright. So in this case here, I'm going to find the weakest of them, this guy who has 344 troops. I'm going to send my Chancellor to go and fabricate a claim. In this case, you can mouse over to see the probability. So there's a 2% chance every year that he's discovered and he gets... Circumflencer, thank you very much for the follow. So there's a 2% chance that this noble discovers him and the relationship sours. Takes a lot to make me cry. I've got an angry army of 3,500 Frankish troops to his 355, and he has no allies. There's nothing he can do about it. On the other hand, there's about a 15% chance that he fabricates a claim. Now, this costs money, so again, my plan on sending my steward to collect taxes in my capital was also the fact that I'm going to have to spend money to fabricate this claim. So, remember how I was talking about this idea of starting with what you know and just slowly expanding out your ambitions? I've now used my entire council. And so I've used up all of the pieces that I have on the board. Comment if you're starting off with this game, it's actually not a bad idea to start as a simple count somewhere in a realm, because that way you've now... Think about this. You've got 5 people who you can dedicate to the management of one really small part of the of your holdings. If you're the Byzantine Empire, you still have 6 council members. But now you're responsible for this whole purple swathe. Likewise, the Abbasid Empire, again, you've got 6 guys to take care of all of this nonsense here. And every single vassal beneath you, they have the exact same ambitions, right? They want to be king. Everybody wants to be the king. So if you're not careful, you'll find out that you have a revolution on your hands or something like that. So again, just taking a look at what I was doing, it seemed to me the most direct way to get Middle Francia would be to kill not just my brother, but his son. And in that case, I've got a fairly good spy master who is building support for the case. I'm, automatically, it's got a built-in plot power of 43, and people are slowly going to come into that cause. If you click this checkbox, it's automatically going to invite them to the plot. I chose the pursuit, which is going to increase both my fertility, which achieves my second ambition, which is to establish a bloodline of my own, in addition to improve my intrigue, which will help me with the assassination. And finally, I consider not just the expansion into Middle Francia, which is relying on not just one assassination, but two, and also the fact that I'm hoping my brother doesn't have any further heirs. But I'm also hoping to go to war fairly quickly, and I'm gaining the money to press my claim, in addition to sending off my diplomat to fabricate that claim. So I'm just going to take a second to catch up on a tweet. Sorry, Lito, I don't actually have a click to tweet yet. I'm actually a fairly new streamer, so I haven't done something like that. Although my Twitter account is System Chalk. Although I guess that doesn't mean much for click to tweet. But yeah, if you want to follow that and you know when the stream is going live, you can access me through that. Thank you for the shoutouts, though. I see there's a few people who did that. I tend not to look at my phone that much during the cast, but there's a lot of you guys tweeting this out, so thank you for that, guys. All right, last time System Chalk streamed, I had me so interested in Total War Shogun 2 running in the background for 4 hours. Oh, you mentioned that, T. Clark. Thanks. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to ignore chat for a while. I'm just trying to catch everybody up so I can do this giveaway. Steven has played Europa 4 a lot. He got the demo of this game, but couldn't really understand it. This is helping, though. So yeah, this is funny, Stephen Lynch, because I found Crusader Kings 2 quite easy to get into, and I found Europa really hard. But most people's experience is actually yours, which is that you could get into Europa really easily, and that Crusader Kings 2 is the complicated one. I definitely find the combat in Crusader Kings 2 a lot more sensible. And I think the thing that throws people off with Crusader Kings 2 is that I'm going to not talk about the game a little bit, but talk more about game design. Consider the two periods that you're thinking about, which is if you look at maps of the Middle Ages, so what's being covered in this, 769 to 1453, you see these individual fragmented kingdoms. I mean, sometimes you have these big monolithic entities, but even when you have these huge areas, generally they're kind of left on their own. This feudal system is kind of a bunch of people just kind of knowing their rank and passing up, either troop levies or money or whatever it is to the person above them. And so this game focuses very intensely on those interpersonal relationships and just building the dynasty, building things for your family, building a reputation for yourself, either for piety or for glorious acts. And then if you contrast that to Europa Universalis, which is about the early modern period, which is sort of the case where no longer you're caring about individual kings so much as you're caring about these grand nation states. And I mean, you still have figures like, King Louis, Le Roi, or Leroy, l'état c'est moi, and these concepts. I mean, again, you still have these massive figures from history. But again, if you look at those maps, you see a huge France. You see a huge, Holy Roman Empire. Austria is a very credible source. You've got the Age of Discovery, right? You've got the beginning. I mean, you have a period that covers things like the Glorious Revolution, where the Netherlands kind of... Is it an invasion or is it a revolution? I don't know, but William of Orange is sitting on the throne of England, and all of a sudden the Dutch Empire isn't quite the same as what it used to be, and all of a sudden England is expanding. You've kind of got these very big grand narratives, and there are individual rulers behind it, but effectively the nation state is something on its own. And so instead you're focusing a little bit less on the personal ambitions of an individual king, and instead you're focusing on this institution, this nation. You can no longer be an individual count in Europa Universalis 4, because those are what empires gobble up. And so, that's what Europa is about. And then you move on. Victoria, its design reflects its time period as well. It's the industrial age. So at that point, you have unemployment. You could have 1 billion factories, but you could have nobody working in them. This is the time of Dickens. This is where children are working in appalling conditions. This is where the Civil War is happening. This is where Joseph Conrad is talking about, the heart of darkness and things like that. So you've got what's really interesting about these Paradox titles is that the design choices of these individual games reflect the times that they're in. And so for this game, you focus on the individual. You know, it's enough to say, I hate my brother, I want to kill him and inherit his kingdom. And so that's a valid path to power in Crusader Kings 2. What you do instead in Europa Universalis 4 is you say, I'm going to hire a mercenary army, I'm going to go into debt, and I'm going to have more cannons, and I'm going to have more technology than you, and I'm just going to steamroll you over. Or I'm going to ally with your strong neighbor, and the two of us are going to carve your kingdom up. So again, these are all expressing the concept of grand strategy, but they're expressing them through these different lenses. And in the case of Crusader Kings 2, it's really appealing to me because this is talking about the individual. And again, this is what we want to read stories for, right? We like Game of Thrones because we have individual characters with their own ambitions, all fighting for that throne. All right, most claims are fake, just an excuse to invade. Still are, says King Bradley.
I would never want to belong to any club. that would have
And Rhesus, apparently that monologue was not enough to turn you away from following. I hope you come not to regret your decision. So, you can, yes, sorry, King Bradley, you absolutely can. There are certain events that do allow you to inherit them, but the whole idea of assassinating your brother to get them is a little bit outside of Europa. All right, so let's talk about our ambitions. We've finished our personal ambitions. We've focused on our council. I'm going to do a quick look over the laws. So if you ever wanted to learn more about the Middle Ages, you can learn all about what the terms agnatic gavelkind means. So I'll start with agnatic or agnatic cognatic. If you mouse over it, you have a description. But it's basically the idea of whether or not ladies can inherit the throne. So right now, agnatic gavelkind says, if you're a woman, you will never sit on the throne. My preference is to go for agnatic cognatic, less so because of my feminist sympathies, and a little bit more because if I happen to give birth to only daughters, I don't want to lose the kingdom just because I don't think women are capable of being rulers. And as it turns out, the last playthrough that I had, the woman who I had as the only empress of the House of Rose actually was an amazing badass. So the next thing that you have is gavelkind. So what's going to happen here is if I have more than one child, my kingdom is actually going to be divided up between them. So that's where you get situations like West Francia and Middle Francia. And in this case here, it's you either want one child, which is dangerous because if that child dies, then you find out that you can't inherit the kingdom anymore, or you don't have anybody to inherit the kingdom anymore. But if you have too many children, then the thing just gets carved up into individual units, and you spend your time trying to recapture your territory if that's what you want. So what you can do instead is you can move to something such as seniority, where the oldest member of the dynasty inherits the kingdom, or you can do primogeniture, where the youngest inherits it. The problem is, of course, that if you have more than one son, you lose prestige for having sons who don't have titles in your kingdom. DJ Cruel Crusader, System Chalk, seduce your brother's wife. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you have options to do these things, don't you? Let me just take a look. I haven't actually played the DLC that allows you to seduce people, so that's amazing. Focus your seduction efforts on Queen Gerbegia. You know what? Let's do it. And it goes beyond. Focus your seduction efforts on Queen Gerbegia in the hopes of gaining a new lover. Big capital letters. Do it! Thank you for that recommendation, DG Cruel Crusader. I'm sure the kingdom will never be the same. The Hammer of Britannia. She may have been a homicidal maniac, but she had the makings to go on to be an amazing ruler. Too bad the game ended. Well, we'll see what happens in Europa. In this game, you can change one of the crown laws once in your rule. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to increase crown authority. Right now, there's minimum crown authority, so my vassals are just running around doing their own thing. What I want to do here is I want to increase the crown authority because this is going to increase the access to troops that I have from my vassals, the people below me. It's also going to kind of put me on the path towards increasing that further and further. The big thing here is that I want a little bit more control of the military than I have right now. Now, when you choose to institute this law, it has to be voted on by your vassals. So if I notice that there's too much resistance, I might actually move my chancellor to go and try and, bribe some of these people to vote in favor But at the moment now, my ruler's fairly young, so I can wait for this to go through. There's other things too, like centralization, feudal levies, taxation. There's lots of laws that you can change on here, but the best way to handle it is just think about what you need. If you're running out of money and you think you have a good enough relationship with your vassals, maybe try raising taxes. But think of it on a case-by-case basis, because certainly there's no shortage of things to read in this game. And so if you can minimize the detail that you go into without necessity, you'll do yourself a big favor. The fact that, I need 22 votes to get this thing passed, right? So I'm going to be waiting a while. I can't change any of this. Why do I even bother, looking at it until I need it? Technology we kind of covered already. You slowly gain technology points over time. Nothing for me to research yet, and I've already dedicated all of my advisors towards doing other things. So I'll just pass over that for now. The game will inform you at the top with notifications when you can do some of these actions, so you don't need to worry about just sitting on a bunch of technology and it not being used. The military here will give you both an overview of what your access to troops are. So of the 3,500 troops that I have, 2,500 of them are my own personal troops, and then my vassals are contributing another 1,000 of them. Again, just keeping in mind, if I were to take on this guy right now, he'd have 344 troops. If I were to take on my brother, he currently has 906. He's also Craven. One important thing to remember is that this is a little bit like an RPG, so you do have individual traits. In this case, my brother is Craven, Content, Cynical, Envious, and he is a tough soldier. In contrast, Charlemagne is a brilliant strategist, diligent, and zealous. Zealous is religious. DJ Cool Crusader played as the Queen of Abyssinia. She seduced the Abbasid Caliph, the Byzantine Emperor, and the Holy Roman Emperor. It was hilarious. Yeah, one of the things I'll say is great about this game is that all of just the different things that are happening in the background kind of create these wonderful little stories that you create. So if you like using your imagination in games, this is definitely a game that I can recommend. So in this case, if I wanted to raise my levies, I just hit these buttons here, and it will raise as many troops as I have access to. This is a direct kind of indication of my individual vassals. So for whatever reason, I say I just want to raise 51 troops that are owned by Nibelungling. 51 troops. Okay, I'll just raise his. Generally, you just want to raise everything that you have, because why wouldn't you? There's a concept actually known as Linchester's Laws, where he kind of did this estimation in terms of two armies fighting each other, and they have an equal chance of killing one or the other, and he basically came up with a series of differential equations that specifically show that the army that has the larger numbers will unquestionably eliminate the other one, and that there are sound mathematical reasons behind it. Now obviously the bigger army beating the other one is not any news to anybody, but what it does is it creates a mathematical formalization of the idea of divide and conquer. So it's interesting reading. Again, it's not because the revelation that a bigger army beats a smaller army is one that people didn't understand, but the fact that somebody's able to understand the dynamics of why divide and conquer is an effective strategy is important, because then you are able to, you're able to perform an analysis on it, and you're able to say, what are the assumptions required for this to work? Because we also have plenty of examples where, smaller armies are beating larger ones. We'll meet them at the hot gates where their numbers count for nothing. This is a strategy that we employed when we were dealing with the Abbasid Caliphate. They had twice as many troops as us, but we made sure to fight them in areas where if they brought their entire army, they would starve to death. But if they brought too few, we'd be able to outnumber them. So in this case, they spent a lot of time wandering in the desert, starving their troops, and all of a sudden they went from 120,000 troops to 80,000 troops. These are the kinds of strategies that you think of, rather than just saying, oh, well, I've got 3,000 troops, they've got 7,000, guess I have to give up my territory. And again, this is the kinds of things that this game can reward you with. If you get into trouble, you can hire mercenaries. Now I've got 92 gold in my treasury, or wealth, because technically, it doesn't have to be gold, I guess. But in this case here, the cheapest mercenaries are boats for 150 gold, and they cost 7 gold a month to hire, so I'm not going to be hiring them anytime soon, but I can go into intrigue, and I could do something like borrow money. Well, normally I can borrow money. It seems like I don't have the option right now. I could expel oh, no, here we go. So I could borrow 300 gold from Jewish merchants, and I would need to give 350 gold back, the interest. There's no time when I need to give that back. Let's say I didn't want to give that money back. Well, that's fine. You can just expel the Jews, and in that case, you take their possessions. So not only do you get to keep the 300 and not pay it back, but you also get to seize their possessions. What's the catch for that? Well, in case you didn't notice, intolerant societies generally don't have a lot of technological advancement. Consider what happened to Germany, right? You've got Germany, which has the reputation for hard work ethic. They've got a military that almost conquered all of Europe. But they're intolerant. All of the Jewish scientists wind up going to the United States. United States, known for a more tolerant immigration policy, takes all of them. It's the country that develops the atomic bomb. It's the country that eventually becomes a superpower. You can see this throughout history. The Dutch Republic that I was talking about earlier, again, had tolerance for both Catholics and Protestants generally before any of the other countries. There's no coincidence that you have these great scientists like Huygens coming up in there. The fact that Descartes spent time in the Dutch Republic, again, these are not necessarily coincidences. An environment of tolerance, even at the business level, IBM, their hiring practices tend to anticipate civil rights legislation. So they were hiring blacks before there was legislation saying that you needed to do something like that. They didn't have a problem with homosexuals in the workforce precisely because if your competitors are going to be so stupid that they're not going to hire people over trivial things like their sexuality or their skin color, then you're able to get the brightest and best to work for your country. The same thing works for nations. And so this has been modeled into the game by saying, sure, you can borrow from Jewish merchants. The church isn't going to like you because it doesn't like usury. You don't even need to pay the loan back. You're going to suffer for diplomacy because you've expelled an entire race from your country. And your technology is going to suffer for it because historically that is what happens to intolerant countries. So it's a neat little way that they model something like that. Again, if you think about the little subtleties of history and how countries work out the way that they do, there's a lot of care that's kind of gone into thinking about these things. Incidentally, a lot of the ideas of the relationship between hyperpower and tolerance is from a book called by Amy Chua, which I can't remember the title right now. I think it's just called Hyperpowers or something like that. But it's an interesting read. She has there's a couple of academic critics in terms of the quality of some of her research. She also made that Tiger Mother book. So, as with all of these academic things, take it with a certain grain of salt. But it's a provocative thesis, and I think there's some truth to that. So, anyways, now that I've monologued you all to death, I'm going to unpause it for a little bit. Generally at the here we go. So as you can see, there's already some messages that have come up. It's automatically paused for me because there's some important information that comes up on here. So and this one says, Duke Lope II of Gascon has usurped the title of County of Armagnac from Arcturus Loping. Good lord. So another case of brothers. In this case, I don't really care. It's just a change in power in my realm, which it informed me of. It says, the chase begins. I shall bring all my seduction skills to bear on Queen Gerbeja, and I will leave her wrapped around my finger. She will be mine. I start planning my next move. The game will give you information in terms of important things. Duke Anselm of Holland has made the Duchy of Brabant his primary title. Some of the stuff you can safely ignore. I generally ignore it that way. But the game will inform you of any major events. Generally in a game like this, because right now I'm just letting everything bubble up, I can't go to war until the Casus Belli is available. People are automatically joining this plot. And I need my Spy Master to work her magic. So in this case, I'm just going to speed it up. What I like to do in combat is normally keep it at 3 arrows, which is a perfectly fair... I think that's a perfectly fair speed. You'll notice that they got my letter about my Italian wife, who I've already started cheating on. So Carl of West Francia has fulfilled the ambition to get married. Scum Save, thank you very much for the follow. Chalk, if that was monologuing to death, you can slay me any day. No, seriously, though, that was interesting. Oh, thank you. I mean, this is one of the things that I like talking about. I know it's a little unconventional for Twitch, but, we live in an environment where the ability to make games is very... there's never been a better time to make games, right? You've got the Unity engine for free. You've got the Unreal engine for next to nothing. I mean, all that you're paying are royalties, really. There's a proliferation of of massive online open courses to teach you programming. So even if you don't want to use one of these existing engines, you can teach yourself programming at almost no cost. It's very, let's face it, it's not that unreasonable to think that people have access to computers, even if it's just going to a library, right? And so it's fun to play these games, but it's also fun to think about how some of these concepts from the real world translate into the game and whether they make for fun game mechanics. Maybe you're not interested in designing games, but you want to learn a little bit more about the world. My background, for those of you who are new here, I'm an economics student. I just graduated with honors economics from the University of British Columbia, and I'm going to be pursuing a master's in that field at the same school starting in September. So I'm very interested in these economics ideas, but what's one thing that everybody says about econ classes? Oh, it's the worst class. I hated taking that in school. So why do I find that interesting and somebody else doesn't? It's possibly just because I found that thing that made me interested in it. And so I think games are actually a really interesting way to explore some of either the ideas of history or some of the ideas in the social sciences, to put a little bit of a spin on it and say, it's like, hey, you know how in civilization you need to decide whether or not you grow your population or whether you build a factory? This is the same decision that you need to study in something like the solo growth model. I won't bother explaining the solo growth model if this isn't an economics seminar. But basically the idea here, this is a decision between labor and capital. This is something that you study in a macroeconomics class. So in this case, the social statistics, social sciences can inform games. They give you rich material with which to work with. I mean, look at this war of mine, right? What happens to people in a war zone? What is the actual experience of war? Not just the soldiers' experience of war. What is the most common experience of war that people have on the planet? And it's a survival game, right? This is a case of the real world informing really good game design. And we benefit from that. But we can also enrich our lives by finally having these things that maybe somebody didn't explain well to us and putting them in the terms of a game, spinning it around and saying, hey, did you ever think of it this way? And all of a sudden things that maybe we were bored by originally, we see in a new light. So for my own part, I'm actually reading more history books now as a result of Crusader Kings 2. But in any case, when you get married, you get to say, Princess Delferada, I'm just going to say my queen, and King Carl have gotten married. We can collect a royal aid duty to pay for the ceremonies. Now, I can gain 37 gold for the ceremonies, or I can say that people respect wealth for 200 prestige. The great thing about this 200 prestige is it gives me that 50 with which I can invade my brother. So I will say, no, people respect wealth, automatic 200 prestige, and this is just the letter from her father saying, to the great King Carl, blessings upon you and your house. I accept your suggestion that King Carl and your queen get married. A realm divided. As your father Pepin died, he divided the empire of the Franks to left half to you and the other half to your brother. He divided the lands He divided the lands in such a way as to force you to cooperate, but it does not appear to have had the desired effect. The friction is constant, and at every turn it seems your brother is now trying to thwart your plans and weaken your position. You must still rule as joint kings, but surely the peace cannot last. He will not succeed in his vile schemes. King Carloman and King Carl become bitter rivals. So this is actually modeled inside the game. I believe if you hit OK, you can take a look and you can see on this list here the opinion of Carloman, of King Carl. It says -99 right now. This is a small bug in the game, but if I bring it back up, you can see that he's got a -99 opinion of me. It'll tell you everything that's influencing it, but basically the rival modifier will give you a -100, so I'm not likely to get along with him. I'm perfectly happy to have this assassin continue on the way then, because what is going to happen? He's going to find out and he's going to hate me. Well, he already hates me, so that's not a big deal. Now, there's a couple things that I can think of right now. Right now, I take a look at my current situation. What does my brother have? Let me just take a look here. I'm seriously considering complaining about why am I learning so much stuff on Twitch. That came out instead, though. They say Bastate was the best economist ever. I'm not familiar with the... I feel like that's a name I should know, but I don't recall that one, ScumSafe. Feel free to just write in chat if you can tell me who it was. History as a subject is super boring to me, but games like Civilization taught you a lot about it while you were having blast. Exactly, Lucho. I mean, some of my favorite gaming memories come from Civilization. And Villar, there are many games that have caused you to reconsider your interest in many subjects that you initially dismissed as boring. Honestly, a great example, one of the reasons why I'm in university is actually because of the follow-up to Civilization 2, Alpha Centauri. It's Firaxis' first game. And in this case, there was so much philosophy in that game that I had to read the books. These quotes were so interesting to me that I needed to actually go and read the sources. Now, I didn't get a degree in philosophy, obviously, right? Like my interest took me somewhere else. But there's something to be said for the impact that a good presentation of an idea can give you. I'm a little curious that I can't go on a pilgrimage. I must have done that earlier, maybe? Or maybe there's no place to go on a pilgrimage to. So I think so I'm zealous, I've got vassal buildings. It's possible that I might get enough piety for the ambition, but I think I should probably try to amass wealth first. So I'll use that as my ambition first. Again, my seduction focus is still kind of primary to what I want to do, which is to get the son and assassinate my brother. So I'm gonna keep with that. And I can't change it until looks like 5 years anyway, so I'm happy enough with that. T. Clark knows about Office Jury. He's loosely associated with Austrian economic school similar to Hayek. Yeah, so Scumsave, I don't know all that much about Austrian economics. I know I've read a lot of cartoon versions of it, but I've not read something like The Road to Serfdom or that. I'm generally okay with things like neoclassic, New Keynesianism. I generally the methods like econometrics I'm good at, and economic history I'm interested in. Like I'm really interested in Smith and Ricardo and historical figures like that. But things that tend not to be aligned. Like, so to give you an idea, like my thesis topic was the impact of drone strikes on support for militant groups in Pakistan. So in that case, I'm not really sitting down and reading The Wealth of Nations to get some ideas. I'm reading stuff like Foreign Affairs. I'm trying to get polling data, or not polling data, but I'm trying to get surveys from the region and connect that to drone data and things like that. And so I'm a little bit better versed in things like, how you can use calculus to optimize something like that, or how you can run a regression to deal with the uncertainty that you face on obviously a very hot button issue like that. It's not like you can just go knocking on people's doors and say, did this drone strike affect your feelings about Al-Qaeda or something like that? So if I will probably embarrass myself if people start naming their favorite economists. I regret that I am not as well studied on some aspects of it as I should be. Need to play that again. Keynes is the best economist. Oh dear, I have a feeling that we're going to start getting into that. I'm more of a... Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, I definitely fall under the social science element of the... And don't get me wrong, like, I'm very interested by the ideas of the economists. So, Hayek very clearly has some views about how we... how our institutions affect our quality of living. It's just that I'm not as... If I'm going to be getting graded on things, obviously I'm going to study that more than some of the casual reading. Although during the summer I'd hope to read a little bit more like that. Bish bash bosh. Human behavior is economic behavior. I still remember some of these quotes for... Yes! Man, I love the fact that you guys know what Alpha Centauri is. That's great. Alright, so as you can see, we've only got 13 days into this game, and there's quite a bit of complication. I'm just going to let this run a little bit further, and then I'll do the giveaway. Let's say we'll do the giveaway at the end of the month. Letters of Love. Gerbeja has not responded to the love letter I've left on her pillow. I could say, time to give up. I won't give up just yet. Now, it's possible that because I'm a rival with her husband. Nope, she's got a high opinion of me. So you'll notice here that I'm earning a little bit of money. This is partially because of the tax, but mostly just the natural amount that I earn on its own. All right, I guess we got to the end of the month. So, I think the best thing that we can do here is, if you would like to possibly win a copy of this game and 2 of its DLC, write in chat, I want a copy of this game in capital letters with exclamation points. I'll say from the first time that somebody enters in, I have 503... Okay, I will count exactly 1 minute from the time that somebody says the first one. I actually have timestamps enabled on my stream. So, somebody start firing. Just say, I want the game, big capital letters with exclamation points so I can see all of you. And I have to add you manually. So also, if you can please only enter it in once. Oops. Okay, well, tell you what, T. Clark. So you don't have the Sons of Abraham? Tell you what, T. Clark, if you would like, I'll still include you inside the draw. And then, okay, well, T. Clark and DJ Cool Crusader, I mean, if you just want the DLC, it's your choice as to what you do with the game afterwards, but you can always donate it back to the stream, and then you just pillage it for the DLC. You put more exclamation. Yeah, well, I want big exclamation marks. I mean, if I don't include you guys, it's going to be like a two-person. It's going to be a coin flip, right? Which I'm fine with, but I'd love people to have a legitimate chance to win what they want. If it means that, you know, you get the DLC that you want, and then I'm able to give the game to somebody else, I mean, starting in the vanilla game is not the worst thing in the world. It's the $43 and buying the game is the largest purchase. Usually the DLC goes like 75% off. So. Okay. Hey, Mr. Pornstar. So, guys, I'm just gonna confirm. So I've got DJ Cool Crusader, Lee 2, I'm Stephen Lynch, and T. Clark. City, did you want to be in this as well? I know you expressed interest. I'll just wait. The cutoff will be at City, so as soon as City responds to the question if he wants to be included or not, we will do the giveaway using this magnificent tool. I must have done a bad job of selling it. I'll actually see if I can see exactly what DLC I have as well, because that might help some of the people who want the DLC only. I might drop some frames while I do that. Okay, City, it's been a little... Oh, no. Okay, cool. So... DJ Cool Crusader, congratulations. Unfortunately, this tool is broken, so there is a countdown. If you can just respond inside of it. Now, DJ Cool Crusader, I'm just going to give you a quick whisper here. I just sent you a whisper, DJ Cool Crusader. I just wanted to double check where you're at for... What Mac do I have? It's it's the previous generation of Power Mac, 15-inch. God. Lots of RAM, very good at running regressions. Yeah, it's a PowerBook. It's a fairly substantial piece of equipment because I use it for the stats work. But I'm also not an idiot. I bought a good video card for it so I could do some gaming. right, tell you what, DJ Crusader, if you don't want to whisper to me or something like that, just send me a Twitch message, and I will give you your keys, and you can let me know what you need. I believe if you have a copy of Crusader Kings 2, it will not go to your Steam library, although I guess you could technically give somebody the code or something like that. Ah, fair enough. Okay, well, tell you what, we'll work this all out on Twitch messages, and what I will do, if anything gets donated back to the stream, what I'll do is I'll do the same giveaway with the same participants. I've got those saved in the background, or I could just check the video, and I will give you a message if there's anything that's gone through. So if you entered in, I will make sure that you have first priority in terms of getting a copy out. Okay, so over the course of playing this game, we have the emergence of factions. So in this case, this faction wants to get elective succession in West Francia. So in this case, it's not just it's no longer inheritance, but it's vassals who want to have a vote in terms of who becomes the next king. Clearly, I don't want this to happen. So I have a couple things to decide. I can wait until my Spymaster becomes available, and then I will send them to break apart this faction. Alternatively, I can try and buy them off. I can give them money or something like that. Or I can just wait and hope they don't gain enough numbers. I could also try taking my Chancellor to come and improve their opinions of me, but I don't think it's very likely that I'm actually going to be able to accomplish that. So one thing it does prevent me from doing is starting a war with my brother. In this case, I don't want my military to be weak with a faction breathing down my neck, because they do have 85.1% of my troop strength. I should send you a Twitch message. Okay, fair enough. Your son Pepin is illegitimate, but perhaps he could grow into a man worthy of ruling the Franks. His body is twisted and he looks frail, but a boy that overcomes such unfair punishments in life could perhaps, with time, become an even stronger ruler. So I could legitimize my heir. Let's just take a look at his stats, because this is who I would wind up playing. Hunchback. So -1 Marshal, not a good attraction option. I think not. Pepin Carling is now known as the Hunchback. Yeah, no problem. So DJ Crusader at the end of the stream. My God, it's been an 8-hour stream already. I didn't get any sleep last night, guys, by the way, so thanks for keeping me up. That's not sarcastic, by the way. This is actually a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm not thinking straight. So yeah, I will definitely send you a copy. Or at least I'll sort out the details with you in terms of what you own, just so I don't wind up with more than one of something. All right, Bertrada, your mother has come to see you. She speaks to you of your brother and the rivalry between you. My dear Charles, it grieves me so that your brother Carloman will not support you as he should, but rather as wicked designs on your domains. Rest assured, however, that I shall do all in my power to help and support you. I have even written to him, asking him to cease his plotting and acknowledge that, though the realm is divided between you two, he recognizes you as the primary ruler of the Franks. I fear, however, that he will not listen to me. Thank you for your support, Mother. So I have a higher opinion of my mother, and my mother has a higher opinion of me. Not a substantial event, but might come up. Alright, so there's a call to arms that I have been given from my brother. He wants... Okay, this is interesting. So this is the Francian Revolt, so it looks like he's got a rebellion underway right now. So I will say that I'm joining, but I'm actually just going to watch him deal with it. surprised I'm still awake. It's like 5 or 6 a.m. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's basically, I believe I've been up for like 24 hours now, but I don't actually feel that tired. I just feel a little sore from sitting for so long. But. An informal event. I made sure to attend minor events in Troyes in the hopes of it seducing Queen Gerbeja, but despite my best attempts, she remains unimpressed. I need more practice. This gives me a bit of a good idea in terms of what his army is made up of. He definitely has the numbers. This is a good example of divide and rule. If he can keep this 549 group together and wipe out this 364 stack, basically he just moves up to the 358, he jumps between them. It looks, though, like he's letting them sort of glom together. Now he's got more than he can handle. So one of the things I might consider doing is actually helping out with this revolt, because I do want to inherit this kingdom from him. I don't want this to actually achieve independence. But we'll see what their demands are, and then I'll consider maybe mopping up the end bits. I definitely want his military to get stomped, though, because it'll be easier for me to take over. Sent Gerbeja a beautiful necklace covered a room with wildflowers, but I've heard nothing back from her. Man, that's got to be really weird. Could have been worse. Plan my next move. So it looks like he's going to get through on this one. If this was me, I would move these 358 troops down south. But I've had my eye on a feisty young scullery mage with huge intellect for some time now. Though she skillfully dodges the attentions of every boy and greybeard at court, I have her blushing furiously whenever I gaze into her eyes. Seduced and wrapped around my finger, a sharp lass could be very useful. So I can make her a lady and keep her as my mistress. I get a new courtier. Bed her and make her mine. What a spy she'll make. I get additional intrigue and plot discovery chance plus 10%. A common wench, I can do better. Gain 5 piety. Actually, I'm going to use her for additional intrigue because that's going to help me with my plots. So it looks like you can muster 1,000 troops when it comes right down to it. In terms of what they're fighting for, it says Middle Francian Civil War for elective monarchy. So effectively, he's got the same faction that I need to deal with. I do think I have a slightly stronger military, though, so I should be able to handle it. Interesting what Wikipedia says about Pepin the Hunchback. The circumstances of Pepin's birth remain unclear to modern scholars, especially regarding the legitimacy of his mother's union to Charles. Most Carolinian-era sources dismiss Charles' first union as illegitimate. The contemporary historian Einhard writes merely that Pepin was born to a concubine, and he does not list him among Charlemagne's legitimate offspring. Interesting. Actually, the only reason I didn't approve him was that if you consider like a hunchback as something that could possibly be a trait that passes through a bloodline. So in this case, I don't really want, I mean, first of all, I already have the attraction option problems, but then the next difficulty is that it's possibly something I can pass down to generations. I'd much rather have the master race. Some carefully placed words where they can be easily overheard by notorious gossips can be more effective than a love letter. Queen Gerbeja must have gotten the message, for I found a lock of hair wrapped in silk with her personal seal in my chambers today. Ha! I shall have her. Start planning your next move. In case you haven't guessed, seduction is not exactly my strong suit, so I can't read the dialogue properly. Notice here that the faction warning has gone. This is just because one of them abandoned the plot, so they only have 47% of my strength. However, I do have the same individual on the independence faction, which is actually a bigger worry for me, because if I lose that war, then I have less territory, and as a result, I make less of a draw on their resources. Oh, you know I like a chase. Steward Prince Bishop Lullus has some interesting ideas on how to improve the economy. I can spend 7 gold, and in this case, the economy technology spreads. I don't actually have that much technology to spread, but I think I should adopt it anyway. If I want an idea... Yeah, it looks like it's all more or less in the same spot, so probably didn't accomplish much with that, but... Now, you can get a bit of an example here. You notice that there's this flag. There's a bunch of troops that are just sitting here. Now, this is something that the AI is doing as playing this character. I'm just going to move move this out of the way. So this is an AI-controlled player who is the Duke of Flanders. So this is one of my vassals, but I don't control these troops because the Duke of Vassals, whether you play this as a multiplayer game or whether you play this as a like a single player, every single one of these individual units is controlled by the AI or controlled by a player. Again, these are the people who are your subjects, but they're not automatons. They have their own desires, they have their own ambitions. So in this case here, they actually have more armies than what I can actually draw from, because the obligation to them, the obligation to the liege, is just a percentage of their forces, which is why I'm trying to increase my crown authority so that I can get a larger draw on their militaries. Yeah, yeah. As soon as you see an event, you have to look it up, exactly. A midnight snack. The journey to the court of King Carloman of Middle Francia was dreary, but I managed to chance upon Gerbega alone in the kitchen when she came down for her usual late-night snack. We talked and laughed for hours, and I can tell she's attracted. Hoping I've read her correctly, I lean in to whisper to her ear. I can confess my love. I can make a new lewd suggestion. And quote love poetry. So let's take a look here. We've got Flamboyant Skeever. She's currently pregnant. That's a problem. Cynical, craven, gluttonous, trusting. Let us bet that she is experienced in body. Gerbega backed away from me, blushing and stammering something about being sorry before rushing off. The virtue is strong in this one. So misread it. Alright, so Salko of the Stygian Peasant Revolt has declared a peasant revolt for Stitt on King Karl of West Francia. Peasants have risen up in Stitt, led by a disgruntled former soldier. The rebels have the nerve to demand independence. So in this case, I've got 11,028 troops that I need to deal with. I'm going to be a complete jerk and call my brother to arms. I should be able to call him to arms. That may be because I'm already participating in a war with him. So we'll do this the old-fashioned way. So this is an example of how combat works. You can see that, obviously, all of my subjects are not located in the same area. This is the number of troops that there are. There's also different types of troops, so light infantry, pikemen, archers, heavy infantry, light cavalry. And then this bar on the right is their morale. Morale is really what determines the success of a combat or not. You could have a very strong army, but if the morale is broken... Your Wheaties, thank you very much for the follow. If you've got a very strong army, but their morale is broken, they're still going to run away. So the idea here is all of these levies have just been raised. They're not prepared. This is the idea of just kind of getting together a militia that's completely untrained. So over time, they are going to become more effective. But, my liege, my network of spies here in Troyes have found out that a local noble is homosexual. What should I do with this information? I can blackmail him, spread rumors about him, or nothing. In this case, I want to blackmail him. This either will turn... I don't know if this will turn him into a co-conspirator, or if nothing else, it'll get me a little bit of money. So we'll see what happens with the blackmail. So right now they're just laying siege to this province, which is fine because it's going to take a while to break. I've got 339 defenders. They've got 1,128 attackers. So if I don't act, this area will fall. But what I can do is I can muster together all of my forces. I can attack them with 3,000 troops. I won't lose as many troops as if I attack them with an evenly matched force. And then it'll be a little bit easier for me to recover my troop strength. I don't feel too well. Something is wrong with me. I'm burning up with fever, my nose is running, and my head feels as if someone is banging something hard against it. Please kill me. So if Charlemagne dies, this is going to be a really disappointing playthrough. Well, no, it just means that his brother inherits the kingdom. And this is the important thing too, right? I could play this as a way... Like, I could just try and kill Charlemagne and just play as his brother instead. And in that way, that would also unite the kingdom, but... I feel a little bit better about King Carl. I've gotten to know him. He's tried to seduce his brother's wife. Fever is gone, my nose is dry, my headache is long gone, and I feel alive once again. Okay, well, it looks like one of my vassals decided that they were tired of the... looks like they were tired of having their land sieged, and they just dealt with it on their own. So notice here, winning combat doesn't mean you completely exterminate them. They took a very heavy hit, and their morale is 0. So what's happening now is this unit, again, autonomous for the computer, is just chasing them down. At 0 morale, they're basically going to get butchered. But notice that they're reduced to horsemen, whereas a lot of footmen are going to be chasing them. So the reason it may take a couple of rounds for them to actually wind up getting caught. But in the end, 1,000 troops versus a completely broken army is not going to accomplish that much. Obviously, I don't want my 233 troops to go after them. I do actually want to get involved in at least one round of combat with them, so I can actually have some contribution, which is the end. But in this case, I'm going to have minimal casualties. So I'm just jump in on this assault, and you get a breakdown. So in this case, 331 troops, 331 were killed, no survivors, and I lost 15 men. So we can offer peace and force demands. The rebellion's been dealt with. The nice thing about crushing a rebellion is it makes your existing regions less likely to rebel, so I don't need to worry about one for the next little while. And then I can, I can just sit back and focus on things like betraying my brother. My wife just asked me if I'm having an affair with Himiltrud. Her stony expression does not reveal whether she knows, is only guessing. Lie to her face. It's what gentlemen do. I'm just doing it for the assassin. A midnight snack. Okay, so I can try and make a lewd suggestion again, but it didn't seem to work last time, so I can confess my love, but let's quote love poetry instead. Gerba backed away from me, blushing and stammering something about being sorry before rushing off. Virtue is strong in this one. My wife just asked me if I'm having an affair. Lie to her face again. Betraying your brother is the best pastime, indeed. I will also comment too, so for those of you who are interested in this game as well, my general experience of the game has been that when they release DLC, which is quite frequent, the game will go on a 75% sale, so I do not recommend that people buy it at full price. I mean, unless you're, affluent enough that you don't, the regular price tag isn't that much. That's, obviously everybody's position is a little bit different. But what I would recommend is wait for a sale, buy the base game, and then buy the DLC that you find interesting. So, for instance, I'm interested in Republics, so clearly I'd get the Republic DLC. Generally what happens is the most recent DLC gets 25% off. Unless it's just released, then it gets no discount. Everything before gets 75% off. And then I just kind of slowly folded in the topics that I found interesting. And now I basically own everything. But I don't think it's worth paying full price for this game. As much as I like it, I don't think it's actually worth the price that they're asking. Yeah, it goes on sale every couple of months, basically, when they release DLC. The Journey to the Court of Man. Okay, well, let's try confessing my love. She backed away, blushing and stammering something about being sorry before rushing off. So in this case, it seems like it's... I don't know if it's just a 1 in 3 chance that you pick the right approach for that particular moment, or if there's some other stat going behind that. But in this case, I'll just try my luck. Apparently, she's very tolerant of these kinds of advances. Yeah, Litu, I honestly, like, unless you're independently wealthy, nobody should spend that money on this game. Especially with the sales that go on. Like, it's just... Like, honestly, the only reason I think they price it that way is so that they can say they're putting it on 75% off when people actually go to buy it. Exactly. I've traveled far to attend this festive outing with Gerbega. Unfortunately, half the court of Middle Francia is also here, and I'm having trouble getting time alone with my amorous quarry. I can seek an ally among her friends. I can leave a note to meet me by the stream, or flirt with her discreetly. Let's leave her a note. I didn't have to wait long for Gerbega to show up in the nearby stream. We'd spent hours chatting and laughing, and I do believe she's falling for me. I lean in to whisper to her ear. Now we'll make a lewd suggestion. There we go. Oh, hang on. This isn't right. Okay. Your mother comes to see you. My son, I'm worried. Your Chancellor, Duke Hunghold, doesn't seem to have our best interests in mind when executing the tasks of his office. I fear he may become a danger to your rule in the long run. You're right, Mother. Your Chancellor has to go. So I dump him, lose 30 prestige. He dislikes me more than he already does. The Queen Mother loses 30 prestige. She gets a negative 100 opinion of him. He gets negative 20 opinion of her, and she gets negative 25 opinion of me for 3 years. So let me just see if there's a good replacement for him, is the key question. No. So as much as I hate to piss off my mom, I'll not get rid of him. But she's right. I mean, a negative 64 opinion is not good. Yeah, exactly, King Bradley. Like, it's, as I said, like, I honestly think the only reason they price that is so, people pay attention when it goes on sale. But even the base game for $40, in my opinion, there's other stuff to play. Like, there's no reason not to wait for a humble bundle or a sale. My lord, there's a lot of grumbling among the lords of the realm. While it is understood that your marriage to Defrunda has a great political utility, it is hard for many to accept that you have married a princess from the realm of our age-old enemies, the Lombards. It has reached the point where you may even be losing some support among the nobles, but perhaps it is still not too late to rectify the situation. I knew this was a bad idea. I'll renounce her. I lose 100 piety, which is not great. Or she is the queen now. They must learn to accept it. Many of the lords of the realm are angry with King Carl. So this is going to cause possible revolutions. I need to be careful, but I am going with it. Seduction in the wild. Gerbega backed away from me, blushing and stammering. Something about being sorry before rushing off. The virtue is strong in this one. DLC for this game could be worse. It could be like Train Simulator 2015, the DLC. Yeah, I mean, definitely Train Simulator is an example of the extremes, although I would argue that Crusader Kings is not that far off from it. Like, half of the DLC for this game is purely cosmetic. I got it because it was like 50 cents after the discount. But it's why I recommend that you pick up the DLC on topics that interest you, because, you know, why do I care about Russian portraits if I never move my map over here, right? Alright, so good news. I have received word from my co-conspirator Count Engler that the bowmen are in place and waiting for the right moment to strike at King Carloman. We're committed then. So we'll see whether or not the assassination works. As far as dangerous factions, it's just about... It seems like it's just about the size of the vassals, so... Let's see if there's something I can do about... I think what I'll try and do to bring the nobility on my side is start holding things like feasts. I can also give them titles, but I think the problem I'm going to run into is if I look at my vassals and negative opinions... Actually, there's not that many. So this guy's old. He'll probably... Some of my worst critics are actually older. So maybe I just wait for them to die out. Yeah, that's truly too. Like, I've definitely kickstarted some other things. I think the biggest thing for me is that it is a question in terms of what you are getting in exchange for that money, especially in the context of the sales that are available. Like, this is... I personally, I can't see the I can't see the value in spending the equivalent of 150 euros for a game like this, as much as I enjoy it. Mostly because I have other opportunities for purchases, or not purchases, for entertainment. All right, I have a new heir. Apparently, I named my other son Pepin. Word reaches that Carloman's wife Gervega has received refuge at the court of Desideratus of Lombardy. Surely there is a plot against you brewing here. This will not go unpunished. Interesting. Death of Carloman. With the death of your brother Carloman, the prestige and honor of the Frankish kingship falls on you. He was your rival, but now he is no more. There is still much to be done, but here begins a new chapter in the story of Karl, King of the Franks. Still, he was my brother. Success! King Carloman was caught in the deadly arrow crossfire between the scroll depository and the grassy knoll. Unfortunately, the scapegoat we had arranged to take the blame spilled my name. Good, but bad. So, we've murdered my brother, I have inherited West Francia, and with that, I have inherited the rebellion. So the first thing that we're going to do is crush the living daylights out of them. Crusader and Europa cost 150 for the full collections, but those games you play for hundreds, if not thousands of hours. Yeah, I mean, you just take a look at the reviews on the on Steam, and you see how much time people are spending on these games. And I think they're good. Like, I haven't played a lot of Hearts of Iron, if I'm completely honest. But the Lollard heresy has appeared in the province of Jülich. So, instead of trying to... So the Lollard heresy... Actually, so here's another example in terms of how the game gets interesting. Do I have any examples of Lollards? I can probably find one in the characters. Actually, I wonder if I can... Nope. See if I can find it by sorting by religion. So Catholics are C's. Search all. BC. That's iconoclast. I. J. M. Wait. That's Miaphysite, right? Yeah. I'm just trying to find you an example of some of the history that you can learn out of this game. So, I have over 1,000 in Europa and CK. Don't have that much time to spend on some of the games as they deserve, but when you do find a good one, you spend a large fraction of time on them. Yeah, I mean, I actually don't play this game that much outside of streaming now because, well, we're coming on our 8th hour of the stream. So I definitely get my fair share. But that's weird. So the Lollard heresy appeared, but nobody is actually a member? That doesn't sound right. If I can't find it, I won't spend that much time looking for it. But okay, Jan. It's definitely alphabetically sorted, so... Okay, Judaism, so another J. I think there's a K as an Indian religion. Yeah, civilization is one more turn. I mean, in this case, it's a... this isn't really a turn-based game. It's real-time, but you can pause it whenever you want, because generally the kinds of decisions that you make in statecraft are ones that... Manichean... So Lollards should have appeared between... Huh. Okay, sorry I can't show you the Lollards, but if you mouse over the religion of the individual, it actually shows you... it shows you the history of it, so in terms of why this was considered a heresy. In this case, I'm no longer going to use him to improve religious relations, as nice as it would be to get the money. Different religions can cause revolutions, and in this case, I'm already dealing with one. Plus the fact that I've got dangerous factions within my realm, and I'm over my vassal limit. So I've actually got quite a bit that I need to. I've got quite a bit that I actually need to get done now. I'm approaching 400 hours. Oh, that's cool. I didn't even notice. For System Shock, there's a whole other dynamic in play than just time spent. This is really the game that helped him find his voice as a caster, and it's arguably the driving force behind him coming into his own and carving out an identity as a streamer. Thank you, T. Clark. You remembered exactly what I said in the in the closing comments. No, it's true. Like, I'm still quite new at this game. But, well, this game, I mean streaming, but also the game Crusader Kings. But, sorry, I just want to double check what's going on in these. I need to sort out what's happening with my vassals. I have too many vassals and I have too many holdings in my personal domain. I can deal with both of these things, but I need to make sure that I kind of actually need to pay attention and make sure that I'm not making any mistakes in terms of allocating land. I also want to deal with this revolution. But yeah, I noticed, like, every streamer has to start somewhere, right? And in my case, it's like most people, staring at an empty chat room and just talking about what I'm trying to do, talking about what interests me. Lots of different things to talk about in this game. In case you guys haven't noticed, that is the thing I have down pat. And what's interesting, like, I find this game interesting. And what I noticed is when I was playing... Hello? What's going on here? So they just lay siege to this province. This is a little bit of a problem, but I'm playing the longer game. I'm just getting everything stuck together. Then I go in with one fell swoop, wipe out the rebels, and I siege whatever provinces I need to. I'm not that worried about this getting taken over for a second. But in this case, I noticed that there is a big mismatch in terms of the number of people who stream Crusader Kings 2 and people who like the game enough to watch it. So, in this sense, I was happy to do it because I noticed more people started coming in, interacting in chat a little bit more. It's honestly the best gift that you guys can give me, is the fact that you give me things to react to. And in addition to giving me your time, I mean, there's a lot of things that people can be doing, especially on a Friday night. And the fact that you guys stayed after me after a streamer like Shand is incredibly flattering. So these are the things that keep me going, and the time that I've spent in Crusader Kings 2 has been a large part of that. So it's a special game for this stream, for sure. Alright, so I can't usurp this title because he's at war. Usurp just means that I'm taking the title of the Duchy of Upper Burgundy for myself. It will obviously piss off the guy, but it does mean it'll reduce the number of vassals I have, which sort of helps me with that one problem I have. There's also, I can play around with the legalism a little bit. What I'm going to worry about now, because I've already taken care of... because I've taken care of this ambition of taking West Francia, taking all of Francia, what my next step is going to be is... kind of consolidating power. I need to start dealing with these things like dangerous factions and putting to bed the revolution. So what I'm doing right now is I am putting my troops together. I'm going to quash this rebellion. And then what I'm going to do, I'm pausing to talk to you right now, obviously, but I'm going to pause and I'm going to consider what my next steps are. In terms of my priorities, they're going to be get my succession in order. So in this case, I've already given birth to a son, which we can see under family, a legitimate son. Oh, hang on. Nope, it's my bastard that inherits it, so good for him. But if I have a legitimate son, I don't need to worry about having a hunchback anymore. After that, I can worry about things like expanding my territory, trying to take Brittany. But I specifically need to worry about getting my domain size down to down by 3. I need to have 7 of 7. I can do this either by increasing my stewardship, not likely, increasing the centralization, which would require me to finish passing this law first. I also need to get the number of vassals that I have down, which means probably creating some titles and things like that. So there's a lot that I need to get done, but my highest priority right now is to reunify the kingdom. I need to get rid of this rebellion, which I didn't help with originally, and so I've inherited from the brother that I murdered. You just started streaming as well. Okay, well, Lita, I'm gonna have to. Let me just take a second here. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. So the least I can do is. Oh, hang on. I've already. Oh wait, nope. I'm not following you. So I'll drop you a follow if I get a chance to see you. Obviously, this is odd hours for me. But I'll definitely check out the stream because I think the best thing that can happen for somebody who's starting out is to have somebody, give some support. And I mean, the people who are in this chat before have been some of the most supportive that I've had, and obviously you guys have been absolutely fantastic too. So that's great. It's just Saturday to you, 4 p.m. Yeah. You can remember your first Civilization modded game, and Catherine denounced me on turn 8. Last game of Civ, you were picking fights with everyone. As soon as you met someone, you would immediately declare war. That game did not end well. You generally don't like to play Civ on the higher difficulty. The AI starts cheating. That's absolutely true. It very quickly starts to annoy you. And my nephew is my heir. Oh god, they're both called Pepin. Jesus. Thank you, DJ Cruel Crusader. I am not paying attention. Alright, so again, this is a little bit of overkill. Clearly, I do not need 4,500 troops to crush a 400-person army. But again, I invoke Linchester's laws. The larger the difference between the two forces, the fewer casualties I'm going to suffer, and the more soundly I'm going to obliterate my opponent. But what I should be doing now is... my Spymaster has gotten their use. Also, Elective Succession of West Francia now has 5,000 men to their name. This is a huge problem. So, what I need to do immediately is find the leader. I probably can't successfully imprison them, but I will do my best. 23% chance and everybody would find me tyrannical. That's the worst thing I could do right now. So, what I do instead, find his capital, take my Spymaster, and scheme. So ideally, I mean, she's got 23, so that it's reasonable to think that she can be very effective. It's possible that I am going to have to face down a faction that has elective succession in West Francia. I have an answer to the fact that they have more troops than me, but ideally, I'm not going to have to deal with them at all, and we'll see whether or not I can succeed in doing that. On the plus side, if they do rebel, it gives me a chance to strip some people of titles, which will allow me to reduce my vassal numbers. So maybe I should just let the rebellion happen. Oh, you didn't just start. You've been streaming for a bit more than a year, but your comment ought to get this. Well, I mean, I'll still follow the stream. If you're anything like you are in chat, I suspect I will have a very good time checking it out. So, what do you normally stream? There's a little bit of Benny Hill going on here where, you play yakety sax and you've got, you're just chasing around units. At some point, I'm eventually going to catch up with them and pound the living daylights out of them. There we go. So, I mean, I lost 60 troops. They lost 447. What interests me is that the war score isn't 100% yet. So this means that I need to go to the province that's under siege and take it back. Alright, Count Engler of Bloss has provided me with proof that Count Angrald of Jülich has been viciously slandering me. How should I use this information? I could expose and denounce him publicly, giving me reason to arrest him. Now, my chances of succeeding in an arrest are likely. I can threaten Angrald with exposure unless he stays out of all factions, or keep this information to myself. In this case, I actually want him to get out of factions. He is currently supporting... Oh my god. They've got 7,000 troops. This is going to be a disaster. The best I can hope for is just to take him out of a faction. And all right. When confronted with the evidence, Count Angrald swore to stay out of all factions and be loyal. I have a feeling, though, I'm still going to have a rebellion to deal with it. All right. So my Spymaster is doing her job. I believe that one of your vassals can be discouraged from associating with conspiratorial factions if the proper leverage is obtained. How do you wish to proceed? Ask politely. Variety streamers stream all kinds of stuff, ranging from super retro combat to 64 stuff. Cool. Playing retro? You like playing 2002 retro RPG? New indie games, largely RPGs, roguelikes, and such, but all kinds of things. Also programming. Nice. And City99, you'll be back in a bit, but your PC is slowing down because of the stream. Not a problem at all, City99. I'm going to try and stream as long as I can, but I'm at a somewhat reasonable breaking point. I'm going to try and clean up as much of this mess that I've created for myself, but I am eventually going to have to get some sleep myself. So I'll do my best to keep up as long as I can. If I don't get a chance to see you, it's an absolute pleasure having you in chat, is indeed everybody else. We've still got quite a few holdovers from Shan's chat. I don't know if we're transcoding still. But you guys have been awesome, and for those of you who have to duck out and maybe don't want to communicate that through chat, it's been great having you in here, whether you're a lurker or whether you're a communicator. I like to say you're so variety, the variety streamer doesn't describe it well. It's good. It's okay, so my persuasion didn't succeed, so I'm probably just going to have to deal with a big angry mob. And it looks like they're raising more troops. So what I want to do here is take down the... I want to take down the area that's under siege. I really need to kill this thing as soon as possible, because I'm going to have to be dealing with my own vassals in a minute. Again, it's not terrible, because I'm going to be able to... If I succeed in the war against my vassals, then I'm going to be able to... strip them of their titles, which will reduce the number of vassals I have. It allows me to take the prime real estate and hand it over to my family. But it comes at the cost that I'm going to have to fight a pretty bloody war. The fact that they have 7,000 troops and I have 4,000 troops is a major problem. A destitute noble from a former enemy court asks for permanent hospitality. Welcome him to my court, or tell him he can only stay the night, which gives me 15 piety. It's tempting, but I think I'm going to go for the piety. The main reason for that is having another member of your court gives you an opportunity to have somebody added to your council. I may have council positions growing because of the rebellion that's almost certainly going to happen. But what I would prefer to do is... honestly, I don't really want to lose any of these people. Unless they're a new chancellor, I'm pretty happy with what I have already, so I'll do the best with what I have. You know, I think there's another way that I should play this as well. So I'm currently trying to fabricate a claim on a kingdom, but right now I need to get my own kingdom under wraps. So they're only growing in discontent. So here's a few things that I'm going to do to try and bring my vassals on side with me. Holy crap. That's a lot of anger. I'm going to try and get some of the... I'm going to start with people who are at 35 or higher anger, specifically dukes. Actually, better way to do this is find... Oh, I don't have any dukes in... Okay, well, I'll start with him then. I'm just going to take my Chancellor, rather than working on these CBs, which I may not be able to use because I'm going to be fighting a pretty substantial war that will drain my treasury. Instead, what I'm going to start doing is using my Chancellor to negotiate with the people who want to go to war with me. So, sends... This is a longer method, so it's not going to be that effective in stemming the tide, but honestly, at this point, everything that I can do to stop this rebellion from happening is vital at this point. So, oh, that's right. My vassals hate me because I'm over the demand limit, so I can solve that by stop being greedy with titles. Thanks, DJ Cool Crusader. You can see that the hour is wearing on me. So, I have to have a duchy on my own, right? Upper Lorraine? So I want to see if I can find a duchy that's near. So I want Verdun Metz. So I can take Lower Lorraine, or I can take Champagne. Let's take a look. 562, 563. Neither of these are all that attractive of option. Could try and take Upper Burgundy. Yeah, he's still at war. Oh, I'm at war with him. Okay, so that solves... Okay, that solves that. So I want to hang on to... I already have all of these. Or, sorry, I don't have any of these. So let's take a look at some of my more remote provinces I can get rid of. In this case, I'm just going to be juggling around titles. I need to give up 3 so that I'm not over my limit. Okay, these are kind of tightly bound together. I think I'll actually give it to my bastard son. He can at least get a... He'll get a consolation prize. So can I create the Duchy of Dauphin? Maybe it already exists. So what I'm trying to do right now is just hand off some of these titles to other family members. I wish there was an easy way to create the duchy, though. All right, Dauphine. Can't control it because I don't have 51% because of the rebellion. Okay, screw it. I'm gonna kill the rebels. Then I can worry about handing out titles. This is not an optimal strategy, but it's what I gotta do. Next thing I'm gonna do is cut the army in half. One half is gonna go attack rebels. The other half is gonna lay siege to capitals. What is their garrison? Easy. You're going to use that excuse, too, to see why you didn't notice the demand limit. Yeah, I'd mentioned it before, but I never thought of it as it being the reason why people hated me. The problem is that the easiest way for me to give away a lot of these titles are to like give them away in the packages, which are broken up through this rebellion. So I actually need to kill it first. And if it turns out that it doesn't... if it turns out that the rebellion's going to happen anyway, I mean, I have a way out of it. It's just a scary one. Okay, my court chaplain has accused him of heresy. You employs a devout Catholic to another devout Catholic to believe me when I tell you I am not a heretic. I'm sure he's not a heretic. Actually, you know what? Forets and Lyon. So I just need to give one more away. Okay, that's the one in the area I'm going to take away. So this one kind of seems out of place. Although it seems to be my capital. So I wanted to give away my capital. Probably not the smartest thing I've ever done. I guess this is probably the most sensible to give away, so... Good lord. He is also loyal to me, so let's grant him Mortain. Alright, so now I'm at my demand limit. Flanders desires a cat. What? How did you know that? I missed your message until it came up, so... Oh, well. Anyways, you've been stretching this for far too long already. You really need to get a shower and start doing other things. Game looks super interesting. I seem like a cool guy, so I'll definitely come back and see my live again. Have a great stream. Thanks a lot, Lee, too. I definitely appreciate you coming in here, especially at my my more brain-fried, so... it's been great having you in chat. I'm looking forward to catching one of your own streams. I hope the time manages to work out between the two of us. I normally do Crusader Kings on Fridays. I generally start a little bit before W. Shan, so I should get a chance to see you before. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and again, I really appreciate you being so active in chat. Talk to you later. Alright, so I don't think my vassals automatically love me after doing that, do they? Well, a lot of them just turn neutral. I don't know if that translates to them abandoning the faction. Oh, nope, look at those numbers come down. Come on, more. Roland, the young nobleman called Roland, has approached you, declaring that he wishes to serve you. You have heard his name before. He is known to be a strong warrior and an able diplomat, wise beyond his years, and especially familiar with the Breton lands to the west. He would surely be a useful addition to your court. Welcome, Roland. So in this case, I suspect this is an invitation to invade to the west there. I also need to worry about Lombardy. Well, why should I worry about them? They have a family relation. So the next thing I'll do to try and bring over some of my vassals is I can give them titles. So I specifically want to look for people who are potentially going to rebel against me. I've got some people who are already have a... What's going on with this? Oh god. Just keeps growing. I actually don't think my mercenary option will solve this. So let's do... This won't actually increase the morale of my armies. So let's do heavy infantry. Okay, what I need to think about is what access I have to allies. Lombardy has 4,000 troops, so as long as they fulfill their commitment, I should be able to deal with a rebellion. So one of the things that I want to do with the possibility of a genuine revolution coming up for a different kind of inheritance, I actually want to make sure that I keep these units close. If they're split, then they're going to wind up getting clobbered. Alright, it is time that you recognize the full independence of Dax and other states in the Independence faction. Be reasonable and let us not resort to bloodshed. Now, I am surprised it's this faction. Which only has 3,000 men. So I will not be blackmailed. That means they're going to go to war. So what I need to do now is chase down as many of these units as I can before they coalesce. I'm going to continue the siege here. Definitely not like the history books, but I'm fairly certain in my ability to crush these rebellions through force. So the big thing that I want to do here is be able to pounce on anything that is small and weak. This I would possibly consider holding off to the end when I combine my group together. Count Engler Blanc has provided me with proof that Count Bregnar of Venodome has been viciously slandering me. How could I use this information? Threaten him unless he stays out of factions, because I can't afford any more. And he swore not to participate in any further factions. Okay, looks like they're going to get together on time. I think I just caused a problem for myself. Nope, success. So again, these guys combining together is a bit of a problem, so I need to back off. I've done... I'm actually going to try and take out the... I'm not too worried about the 2400 over here, because once I recombine them, the German population in Cleve have embraced Frankish culture. Civilized peasants. Most of the vassals dislike me because my brother's a natural death. That's not much of a surprise. I need a new chancellor to try and recover whatever... Okay, well this is great. Most of the people for elective succession have since joined the weaker rebellion, so happy with that. Let's worry about the Duke. So the nice thing about this is that after the war, which I've basically won, right? There's 2457 troops here. I've got 2391 and then 1864. So I'm going to take their last major unit in the corner here. In the meantime, I'm going to be laying siege to this. This could probably be enough to suppress the Francian revolt. And so basically by... You know, the positioning could have been a little bit better on my part. Like, clearly it would have been better if I could have taken this out first. They're probably actually going to wind up taking this county. But I'm basically able to keep their army from getting too strong, and then once I'm finished putting down Rebellion number 1, I can combine the troops together. I'm not going to lose a whole lot in this particular fight, and I'll be able to mop them up. Most illustrious King Karl, the good burghers of Goch are barely able to pay their taxes. Our coffers are empty. I humbly ask you to lower the taxes for your city. I could bribe them, but I will say an absurd request. The mayors dislike me, but I'm not at all worried about the mayors being mad. I might get an assassination attempt on me because everybody hates me, but okay, looks like that siege isn't over yet. Disappointing, but fair enough. Maybe I should take the time to crush this rebellion then, because I'm pretty sure if I eliminate their troops, I'm good. Nah, I'll focus on one. Wasn't natural, he was shot with an arrow. Death is perfectly natural result of getting shot with an arrow. This is true. Not entirely sure the vassals will buy it, but... Okay, yeah, so I'm almost done. Can I enforce demands on this yet? No, of course not. So I'll at least clobber the current insurrection. Princess Giselda of Francia is now of legal age. She became a mastermind theologian. Now this is a key one in the... remembering that weddings were the only way that you could form alliances. This also applies to marrying off your daughter. So... it's important to remember here that I'm in a very fragile position as far as my country is concerned. So what I want to do is I want to try and find allies with the strongest figures I can. This means marrying them off to figures like the Byzantine Empire or Lombardy or something like that. I could also possibly consider Bavaria, but I'm not entirely sure they're that major of a player. Only 1,000 troops. I obviously can't marry somebody off to the Caliphate, but gives you a bit of an idea in terms of what my priorities are. So one other thing that I could try and do is, let's see, I don't remember exactly what her relation to me is. She's my sister. So in this case, I will arrange a marriage. And let's think about what alliances this will give me. So there's Gascon. Looks like I can't really marry into any kingdoms. So this is tempting. Let's take a look. I'm bad at finding this stuff on the map, especially with a bunch of stuff cluttering it up. So it's TUIS. So, I mean, there's the possibility that they get conquered by the Muslims and I get pulled into a vicious war. What are we looking at for their strength? 1,000. On the other hand, I mean, the Umayyads are next door to me too, so there's nothing saying that they don't invade me either. So it's probably best that I make common cause with them. So it's a gamble because I could get drawn into a war that I can't necessarily win. But on the other hand, it seems to be the best option I have. Well, that or I tighten my ties to Lombardy. No, let's go for diversity. So again, the idea here is that the Umayyad dynasty could possibly try to invade. Through the north here. They could also just try and take the rest of. Sorry, they could just try and take the rest of the country. But in this case here, they've got, what's their strength? 5,000 troops, so the combination between the two of us kind of makes it a fair fight, and then adding in mercenaries makes things a bit plausible, bit more plausible for us. So, next step. I finally need to put this rebellion to bed. I could try and take these troops here. I don't think killing 72 is going to be that big of a deal, so what I'll do is I'll just try and reunite with this main force here, go up and take out the 2499 after the siege is done. Hey, City, good to see you again. We had rebellion on our rebellion build-up, but in this case, we are dealing with it by kind of dividing and conquering. I'm trying to get rid of this, get this ticking war score up to 100% before I do anything else, and then I combine the troops, move up, and crush the last rebellion. That'll allow me to strip some titles and basically reduce the number of vassals that I have. Yeah, autocorrect is a disaster. I could ally the Byzantine Empire by making it a matrilineal marriage. Really? Marrying off my sister in a matrilineal marriage? I thought you would get better prospects if you... Could you explain that to me, DJ Crusader? I always thought you got like the worst prospects if you made it a matrilineal marriage. You've been spending a lot of time talking to Roland de Bretagne recently. He's not only loyal, but wise, amiable, and very good company. You have many things in common. A good and stalwart friend. In this case, the characters become friends. Just like you can have rivals, you can make friends. It's also nice that this guy is my chancellor, so in this case, he's actually gonna do things that help me. I think I'll be back on track for taking out Brittany. I think in terms of a grander strategy, my target eventually should be to take Lombardy. But that's definitely a very ambitious task, which I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to accomplish. Well, actually, you know what? With 4,000 troops, they're not as frightening as I thought they'd be. So this defeat here is just the loss of a... Wait a minute, I have more than one defeat. Okay, I'm not sure where the second defeat came from. I suspect... Doesn't mean... So, this was their rebellion about elective monarchy. This one is about independence. They've successfully taken one county, but I ultimately win the war because I'm about to take them out with a larger force. Next thing is because all of the vassals who opposed me are now in rebellion, the Lords of West Francia have approved the institution of limited crown authority law. So in this case, it means that I have... It means that because they weren't there to oppose the law anymore, I actually got the thing that makes me stronger. Which means that if I wanted, I could actually raise levies again and I would have even more troops, but I don't need them, so I won't take them. The one challenge is that I did have to give up some of my territory, so if I wanted to increase my centralization, which may not be a good idea because I already have a problem with too many vassals. One of the things that I could have tried to do would be to increase my centralization, which allows me to hold more individual counties. But I'm not, like, it wasn't the worst thing. The decision I made wasn't the worst that I could do. Now, this is a bastard child. It's also a daughter, so she's not going to wind up ruling anything. So in this case here, I'm actually going to choose... You get an approval bonus by having somebody teach them. It's usually about like 20 points, I think. So in this case, I can pick one of these people here who likes me like -19, -18, something like that, and that'll actually put them into positive territory. Here I'm going to choose this guy. He's -18. There's 1 point difference, but this guy's 68 years old, so he's very likely not going to live that long. Now, these stats aren't fantastic. Diplomacy isn't very good. Learning's terrible, but reasonable stewardship and martial and intrigue are okay. So there are worse trainers that she could get, but this is very much a decision motivated entirely by the bonus that it gives to the person's opinion of me. Byzantine Emperor has many sons. He should be able to allow the matrilineal marriage with his younger ones. Okay. In this case, I opted for the Spanish strategy. I'm still not sure that was the right decision, but I'll live with it. An emissary from Pope Damas II has reached us with a proposal. The Pope will grant us absolution for our sins of kinslaying. I'm on my knees saying Ave Marias, lose 100 piety and 50 gold, or I'm not repenting of my sins. Gain the trait cynical, and the Pope will be upset with my lack of devotion. What does the Pope think of me? Not that much already, so you know what? Screw you, Pope. I've already taken down one rebellion, I can take down another. Oh nice, Charlemagne by the Sword and the Cross and Charlemagne the Omens of Death are both on Spotify. This is actually a little bit of a closer match than I thought it was going to be, if I'm completely honest. We're down to half of our morale, but we came through in the end. So the answer here is to chase these guys to... Oh, I know why. I crossed a river like an idiot. In this game, if you cross a river, especially a large one like this, you're going to get a... I have no idea why I even thought I would do something. Like, this is such an obvious mistake. But basically, if I had moved up through Nantes and moved into Anjou, I would have lost fewer troops. As it is, I made a poor decision. So, and looks like the factions are back specifically because of that mistake. So, what are we dealing with here? 24. Okay, I'm not that worried by it. Although I think I should probably start sending my spy master to deal with them. So in this case here, we've broken their spirit, and at this point we're just crushing them until until the army's no more. Then we'll recover Anjou, and the rebellion is over. We can worry about the managing of our realm. Plus, I could have Byzantine troops to destroy Spain. Absolutely true. I'm actually kind of hoping I get a... Why isn't my wife giving me children? She's lustful? Well, you know what? been a while since I've seduced somebody. Queen seems to have vanished. Who's in my court? How old are you? 20? You'll do. Oh, I can't. So it said that where's the... Okay, so it said that my brother's wife went to Lombardy. Ronald Pepin. There has to be a better way to find this character. So her mom's just vanished, and I apparently can't seduce anymore, it looks like. Which is fine. Actually, you know what? I need to reconsider the seduction strategy anyway, because I have... that's fulfilled its need. It's kind of weird that I can't seduce somebody else, though, if that character's been removed from the game. Can I seduce a dude? Seduce his wife? Nope. Yeah, so I'm curious about that. I don't know if that's a bug in the game or what, but... Anyways. Lollard heresy is spreading, which is not good at all. And oh, my lover Hilmitrude just broke up with me. Apparently her jealous husband confronted her about the affair. That accursed blackguard. Jealous husband of my lover, Hilmitrude, has denounced us as adulterers publicly. How embarrassing. Well, I mean, I did just kill my brother, for crying out loud. It's not like I can really have that much worse of a reputation. Alright, now can I seduce somebody? No, she's dead. That won't do. Nope, no seduction options. Alright. Well, so much for that ambition. Okay, well, my war score isn't that great. There's probably better things I can do with it, but this is just too much of an opportunity to be able to take out a column of troops like this. This time I will not cross the river like an idiot. They're heading to Foix? Yeah. So yeah, this is kind of the embarrassing part of the siege. So in this case, I've got 35% war score, which isn't that great. Oh my god. This is why you don't want Lollards in the... And I moved them too soon. Okay, so what have I got here? 2,000 Lollard troops. I think the best thing to do is sweep out the rebels. At some point, like, they're going to regroup, but at least I can deal with what I have here. As long as I can stomp out their numbers immediately, I can just return to the... I can just return to recovering Anjou. And actually, I think at this point, I'm going to raise my additional levies. They're not that substantial on their own, but they add up. Which, especially in the case of dealing with a force which is roughly matched to mine, is something that I care about. Alright, that was unfortunate. I really want these troops, but they're not in a good spot. I mean, they'll still wipe out the 34, but it'd be nicer to have more substantial numbers to back this up. Okay, well, looks like they're going to be fighting them anyway. I'm still technically trying to seduce is what well yeah, that's what to my mind is a bug, right? Like if they're just going to arbitrarily remove a character, they kind of need to remove the seduction tag as well. I don't know if I'm going to hit the Lollards in time. Everybody here. What about the factions? Jesus Christ. I guess apparently the reputation of being an adulterer actually kind of mattered. Well, I'll call in the Lombards if another rebellion comes up. I think I definitely want to stomp out the Lollard rebellion right away because I don't know if that will affect factions, but it definitely stops rebellions for a while, and then I can recover this territory, stomp out the remainder of the second rebellion. Problem, of course, is we're spending so much time trying to accomplish what basically amounts to not having the kingdom fall apart, so it's a little frustrating. You were in the thick of it during the battle, and your tally of slain enemy soldiers has impressed even the most grizzled sergeants in your army. As you clean the blood spatter off your sword and armor, the men cheer for your bravery and that you displayed in securing this victory. Songs will be sung this day. Get 100 prestige. Yeah, I'm really hurting on my troop strength, so what can we do for individual traits to fix that? And more importantly, when can I change my trait? Oh, I can do that right now. Okay, so I could still try seduction, but I don't think that's the way to go here. Diplomacy would be good because of the small boost that I'll get to the relations. Alternatively, I could just try and go straight for marshal, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm already at 21 marshal, so that's not a great idea. Rulership for stewardship would sort of help me with my vassal problem, but it's not that directly important to me. So I think in this case, I could try carousing, which will give me a straight increase to diplomacy, but in this case, family's more important because I need a damn heir. I still haven't killed these guys. In the meantime, what are the other rebels doing? Nothing good. Okay, so one rebellion crushed. I think the next trick here is to reclaim Anjou because they're not going to be able to claim any other territory, so that'll at least get my war score back up. I don't know if I want to go for the capital first or to take out the remaining troops. It's kind of hard to tell. I need a new chaplain, especially because the old one let heresy run rampant. So in this case, I think I'll just continue his efforts in the original outbreak. The other reason why I want to get these wars done is I want to change the succession laws as quickly as I can. Okay, so looks like we got rid of the rebellion in the other location. I won't complain though. Or the heresy, not the rebellion. This is just a bunch of sitting and waiting for a siege to be done. In this case, I'm actually going to crank up the speed to 5, which is a little dangerous just because I could have something come up. But, okay, my mission to Thurgen so far has been a success. During my visit to the court, Duke Radolf II seems to have managed to make him understand what a benevolent and peaceful ruler you really are and sends his regards. Perfect. And actually, I was just thinking there's another way that I can deal with this. So it's elective succession again. These are all people who like me, though. So I'll try and buy some of these people off with titles. I can grant him an honorary title. I think if I can make him Seneschal, it's 15. And this guy I can just give him like Master of the Swans or something like that. These are just titles which increase their prestige, makes them like you a little bit. So in this case I'll make him Keeper of the Swans and bring him on my side. Again, it doesn't do a whole lot because they still outnumber me. But it's a slightly more fair fight, and if I can try and push these guys over the edge as far as how much they like me, you know, so much the better. And your modded game, the Umayyads, just became tolerant and allied with the Carlings. Works for me. Alright. Let's see what this guy's made out of. So this is the Duke who's currently associating with a faction. He is a hedonist, honest, trusting, greedy, humble, kind. Let's try to obligate him. I'm not quite sure what to appeal to. Honored King, thank you for reminding me of my duties and obligations as your vassal. You are right, of course. For the foreseeable future, you have my promise not to support factions conspiring against you. So, what does that do for the balance of power in these factions? Not a whole hell of a lot. So let's try a different tactic. He's by far the biggest contributor, so let's get my Spy Master on him as soon as possible. With 1,000 troops, he's basically going to be the one who makes or breaks that faction, so... I don't think I need to persuade him anymore. So let's at least try to get my vassals in positive territory, so anybody I can't win over with a title. Oh, these are all mayors, so... Make him Master of the Horse, and... So notice here that at the start of the game we had a bit of a different plan. We thought it was going to be a longer commitment to try and unite Francia. Now, the consequences of the actions that I took, especially in terms of my reputation and sort of the way I conducted myself in the succession, have led to a bunch of rebellions. And so, rather than the original plan which we had, which was to take the last bit of Brittany, we've actually just been focusing on keeping our realm from falling apart. You'll notice that I'm moving all of my counselors from fire to fire. This is where this kind of interpersonal relationship part of the game really comes into play. Because again, in here, there's that old, the old saw, the heavy is the head that wears the crown. And again, I still have to worry about this vassal limit. So there's a few ways that I can fix this, but at the moment I just kind of want to worry about clearing out the last little bit of the rebellion. Then I'll go to my prisons, I will take as many titles as I can from people, and then I'll just redistribute them so that my kingdom is a little bit less, first of all, less capable of rebelling, and then second of all, the people who are on my side are going to remain loyal to me, get sort of the better stuff. So my Spy Master again is working wonders. Basically the only reason why I'm alive. This guy is craven, so I think the best thing to do here is threaten him. And now the positioning works pretty well for me here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this group of troops. Honored King, I ask your forgiveness if I've done something to offend. I obviously wouldn't dream of associating with any factions conspiring against you or your enlightened rule. Signed, Duke Theodoric of Burgundy. You are forgiven. So in this case here, I'm just chasing down this group of 193 troops just so I can eliminate any military presence that they have. Then I'll start working on the capitals of the rebels. One rule of warfare in this game is that the more that you focus on taking down, how do I put this? If you take out a personal holding of the leader of the rebellion, which in this case is Luke the Wise. So in this case, this home county of his, the war score is much higher than if you just take out a territory associated with him. My liege, since I arrived in Danos, there's never been a shortage of soldiers reinforcing the troops stationed there. Under our guidance, they believe fame and fortune await them, which is good. That's probably why my the warning about the factions went away. Well, that, and I did get rid of a major conspirator, so... in this case, I think I'm just going to lay siege to it. In the end, there's not a lot that 400 troops can do to hurt my realm, and if nothing else, I can just split off a splinter group and start taking out some of these groups. Dear son, may you live in harmony and contentment. I have discovered a plot where King Sigurd of Skevold plans to count Wilch... Okay. There's not much I can do about that plot, so... You think they're going to be interbred and cause problems for you? Have fun. Alright, fate smiles on me, and my wife, Daufreda, is pregnant. It took a while, but I'm happy that's the case. Okay, looks like they can actually lay siege to these things. So they want peace. I am absolutely not accepting white peace. I know I can take them out, so I intend to. And in this case, I only need 265 to continue the siege, so in this case I'm going to split my army in half. Again, it's a little bad because I'll lose some numbers, which I wouldn't have if I went with a larger group. But in this case here, I'll just take these troops, I won't go over the river, and I'll have a little bit of a better time taking out these rivals. So... Count Engelbert of Blois has provided me with proof that Count Bangolf of Au has been viciously slandering me. How could I use this information? Well, again, we want to keep them out of factions. He laughed at the evidence, flat out refusing to stop meddling in political factionalism. So I have a negative 50 opinion, which... fine. And we've eliminated the last little bit of heresy in our realm. So we're starting to get back on track as far as getting order back into our kingdom. What I want to do now is start focusing on kind of building up resources again. This is a perfect example of somebody I should send my bishop to, because there's a difference of 44-43 between the opinion of him and the opinion of the Pope. So again, we go to Mainz, and we don't proselytize, but instead we improve religious relations. I don't even need him there that long, but obviously I'll do it just because I want him to. I want them to be a little bit more loyal to me than just 1 point. The Pope could die, and a more popular one could come into place. So with that, we've almost obliterated their military capacity. The nice thing about this is I may not need to win the siege anymore. I could just take out this last set of troops, and in that case, I win. No, not quite enough. So in this case here, I'll take the long way around to the place that I'm sieging. It looks like I'll probably be done the siege before I arrive, but we'll see. Again, I've got this on maximum speed. I don't really recommend this for combat, but this is all kind of a foregone conclusion. I'm just sort of speeding things up so I can get to a good closing point. All right, so we're at 100% war score. There are 3 kinds of peace in this game, so you can enforce demands. What happens in this case, it depends on the circumstances. In this case, this guy was rebelling against me. So he loses 100 prestige, he's imprisoned by me, he also loses 100 prestige for contributing to the war. I gain 50 prestige for taking down a rebellion. So the gains from a rebellion are not actually that good. But what I get to do now is I've sort of reunited my kingdom. I get to focus on my... I kind of get to focus on rebuilding my kingdom. So a really good way to start with this is to start stripping people of their titles. And in this case, I can start... If you notice here, it says, revoke the country of Carcassonne. This will lower the Count's opinion of you by -80. Since he's a traitor, the vassals won't object. So what I'm basically going to do to all of the ones who have only 1 title, I'm going to take those all entirely for myself. Now notice that this is making my domain size go up, so this is going to make people resent me. But what the next step that I do is redistribute the titles in a way that I think is more worthwhile. So like for instance, this one I can only take 1 of 3. So I'm going to wait a minute and find what's most strategically useful to me. Again, I've got 2 here, so I want to see if there's a way that I can maybe build a... I want to see if there's a way that I can sort of build a particular unit that I can then give a duchy to. Likewise, I've got 39 out of 33 vassals. So what I want to start doing is I want to start sort of giving... I want to start giving more responsibility to people across the country. I can't necessarily just strip people of these titles that they hold, because in that case that's just pushing numbers around on a table. But what I can start doing is I can start saying, it's like, okay, well, what duchies need to be created? What individual vassals can I make subservient to somebody who's loyal to me? So he's been released from... I don't remember releasing him. Alright, I'm just going to quickly read through these notices here. Most of these you can kind of wind up ignoring. Okay, so as far as factions go, they're all pretty weak now. I think the most troubling one to me at the moment would be Lower Crown Authority, because that's something I spent some time working on, so I'm going to take that out first. I'm not even going to worry about the prisoners. I'm not going to unpause the game until I have a clear strategy in terms of how I'm redistributing titles. I think I still need to train troops. We definitely got hit pretty hard. Actually, my forces aren't as bad as I thought they'd be. I'm currently sitting at 7,000 troops, so if I wanted to invade Lombardy, I've got a fairly good time of it. They're at full strength, and I outnumber them by a fairly substantial amount. Now, as far as the Umayyads are concerned, they're sitting on 6.98, and that's at full capacity. So there's a question in terms of whether or not I would want to do a preemptive strike. The problem is that the strike that I would make would be would likely be a holy war. And so in that particular case, I would run the risk of having them bring in allies and just completely stomp me. So, and then of course we are focusing on Brittany still. That's such an easy thing to add to the realm that I don't need to think too much about that. So I've got 2 titles that I need to give away, and I've got I need to get rid of some vassals. Best way for me to get rid of vassals is to start creating some of these duchies, but I need to find the ones that'll be most effective at getting rid of like multiple people under my title. So, have I ever played a character with the Messalian religion, Nestorian heresy? No, I haven't. I've played an Irish character. I have played a what else have I played? I've played a I've played English, and that's it, actually. It's usually just been English and Irish. And just bear with me a second here. I'm looking for a good time to stop. I've definitely... I've enjoyed doing this, but I'm really starting to feel like my throat's actually hurting quite a bit with all of the talking, so I just want to see if there's somebody that I can pass the host on to in a little bit. I'm not quite done yet, but I just want to want to at least get a game plan underway. Okay. Well, I got some ideas, but not quite ready to quit yet. I just want to make sure I've got a game plan. Okay, so first thing I gotta look at is my vassals. I'll sort them by rank. If it says I've got 39, I just want to double check that I've got this right. I believe it's all counts and dukes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. The next one should not be a count. Huh. Maybe I double counted something. That's really close anyway. It's like 40. That I counted. So what I am thinking here is I should start by looking at the dukes that I have in my prisons, and what I wind up doing with them is I take their duchy from them, and then I find out who holds land in that duchy. This is Savoy. I actually don't think this will change anything. Oh, hello. Okay, so apparently that's not going to work. So I'll start by revoking that. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to revoke each of the duchies and redistribute them. and then I'll worry about any of the remaining counts. Again, it's weird that I'm not able to take his if he rebelled against me. We'll take Aquitaine. So I guess the question here is, I've got Dax, Byrne, and Marsan. Oh, so this is somebody who I can actually... So does Gascon exist as a duchy? So he already owns that, and he doesn't like me at all. Right, so I still need to figure out what I'm going to do with him. Yeah, I'm closing in on the 10-hour mark, I see, like 2 or 3 times longer than my usual stream. Yeah, I know, it's... What I kind of want to do here is I want to at least balance out the kingdom as I have it. I'm probably going to redistribute the titles when I start my next stream. But I thought I'd at least... I mean, obviously things have kind of died out as far as participation and things like that goes, which is fine. I mean, that's the way it should be. But I want to at least kind of put myself in a position to make my allocation decisions, and then I can, I can wrap it up, thank everybody who's stayed, and then I can send off a host myself. Yeah, Akadak. W. Shand raided me right at the time I was going to sign off, and then I was exporting the game for the option of using it in Europa Universalis 4 if I wanted. So I had to stand there and monologue for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then I played Quiplash, which wasn't as popular as I thought it was going to be. That kind of surprised me. And then I went back to Crusader Kings 2 and worked on that. So yeah, that's really nice of W. Shand. I mean, he is definitely he's somebody who probably shouldn't be streaming or shouldn't be hosting streams like myself, but man, he made me feel like $1 million after. I mean, it's a milestone. We finished the House of Rose story, and again, the badass Empress did not disappoint. She was going ham till the end. So, looking forward to loading that up in EU4. Quiplash sounds like my kind of game. Yeah, the stuff that I came up with in like the round that we did here wasn't that good, but I really enjoyed doing it in at EXP Bar, so I'm looking forward to trying that again. Okay, loop. Oh right, okay. So I mean, it doesn't matter which one I pick, so let's just take Marsan. Under duchies, they are the same. Oh, hang on. Does this duchy exist? So I can apparently claim it. But claim it from who? God, so confusing. Oh, wait, so I can create the Empire of Francia. That's going to improve things for me quite a bit. I think that actually increases my vassal cap. There's a bunch of duchies that I can make, actually. So I think the answer to this is money. I need to come up with a smart way of creating kingdoms and duchies such that I have subjects under me who benefit from these titles. All right, let me make sure there's no more titles that I can steal from people, and I'm gonna think about this when I'm not completely brain dead. I really don't understand why this guy gets special treatment. I also can keep a duchy for myself. That's not that big of a deal, but it's a good tool. So I've already taken from him. I already took from Loop. Oops. All right, I think that's everything. He should only have. Oh no, I need to pick which one. Just take that. I could have checked for like military size, but honestly, I think I need to wrap this up. Okay. W. Shan is a long time Twitch TV, Justin TV guy. He knows what it's like. Change to the business focus, you'll get loads of money. That's a good point, although I think it's too early for me to change again. I can't change for another 3 years. Now that I've got a son finally, or at least a son on the way, I hope if that's... Oh man, she wants a daughter? Arrgh! It's probably not going to be a son. I really want to get this... I mean, yes, there's a legitimate heir, my nephew, but still, I want it to be my son. But yeah, I think we'll figure that all out next playthrough. So let's do a recap of the game that we played today. So based on request from chat, we chose to do Charlemagne in the earliest start date that you can get, 7/76. Our first goal was to, again, get our house in order, kind of get our priorities in line. We took the perspective of saying that we want to start with an individual... character, you, and we want to worry about their individual ambitions, sort of, and as they relate to whatever you want to accomplish in the game. From there, we moved the influence out a little bit, and we focused on our council in terms of just figuring out what actions we wanted to take that would accomplish our goals. In this case, it was to create a situation where I assassinated my brother and inherited the entire kingdom from him. So we went from owning half of the kingdom to owning all of West Francia. This allows me to create up to 22 titles. This would be kingdoms, duchies, empire, pretty much everything that I would need. The problem here, of course, is I don't have the money to create all of these titles yet. As DJ Cool Crusaders pointed out, I should change to the business focus so I can rake in a bunch of money and create all of these titles and restore a little bit of stability to the realm. What I've done right now, we've fought back no less than 4 different rebellions if we include the Lollard Heresy. So what we've done ever since we've inherited this massive kingdom, we've basically been fighting to keep it in our hands and keep it the way we want it to run. So what we're going to be doing the next playthrough, which will likely be happening next Friday evening if I don't completely renounce all Crusader Kings 2 after this 9.5-hour stream. Knowing the way System Shock plays King CK2, his nephew is probably his son. Yeah. The goal of the next playthrough is going to be, 1, redistributing these titles so that I can get a little bit of balance amongst my nobles. Part of this is just going to become a matter of having these some of the members of my court die out so they forget some of the horrible things I did, like murdering my brother and having an affair with a married woman. After I redistribute the titles and sort of consolidate my position in the kingdom, I've got a fairly strong military. This is 3.74 in its current form, but I should with my vassals. Wait, that doesn't make sense that I don't have vassal levies. Is it because they're currently raised? Oh, maybe it's because of my domain size that's causing that. Anyways, I believe before I started doing all of this nonsense in terms of moving around different titles and things like that, I had about 7,000 troops to my name. Once I get the domain size and the vassal limit under control, I should be kind of at the peak in terms of my ability to to perform military actions. And the main reason I'm not doing that right now is because I don't want to use my sleep-deprived brain to work out some of these important things. What I will do is I'll put some points into military organization so I can build a retinue, and then I think I'll put some points into cavalry, and finally light infantry. So in that case, I got to kill a few birds with one stone. Mostly that was just a reflection of my priorities. I have no interest in shipbuilding. What am I going to do? Go up into England? It'd be cool to invade England as France, especially before England exists, but probably not worth the effort at the moment. Once I consolidate my kingdom, our first goal is to take Brittany. We'll see. I do have an impending alliance with Asturias, which is not that great with the military. It's only got 1,500 troops, but especially if you go up against the Umayyads, who right now only have 1,000, that doesn't make sense. They got 7,000. So if I have 7,000 troops, they have 7,000 troops. Having an extra 1,000 to come in and harass them is actually meaningful and helpful. Alternatively, we can consider the Lombard kingdom. They've only got 4,000 troops at the moment, so I might consider performing kind of a preemptive strike, move down into Lombardy and add that to the Empire of Francia. Maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'll go up into Saxony and take Scandinavia, although something tells me that's going to be hell on earth to deal with all of the Norse. Although it will give me a lot of different holy wars, so maybe that'll work as well. In any case, lots of options that I have available for me. This is the most obvious target to take in my view. And then anything else that we do sort of depends in terms of what the game hands us as far as alliances and different... basically different kinds of conflict. Definitely very appealing to go after areas like this because they have pagan religions. But you risk stirring up a hornet's nest if you go after the wrong religion. So we'll figure it out next time we play. I want to take a minute and thank everybody. I'm still in the double digits after Shan's host. It's been a few hours since he hosted me. The number of follows that I got was deeply humbling. I got a donation from Clara, which is also very kind of her. I mean, in addition to the fact that there was a special milestone on the stream today, that we got through a playthrough with the House of Rose, which has given us lots of things to laugh about. It's given me some moments to figure out the strategy of Crusader Kings 2. It's given me a lot of, it's also, as I said earlier, it kind of allowed me to find my voice as a streamer and kind of come down and figure out what this show was about and how I was going to, how I was going to kind of manage a weekly show. This is really the only game that I've kind of said, this is a dedicated Crusader Kings 2 night. I played a lot of Dragonfall. Like every Monday I'd usually wind up playing Dragonfall, but this is the only game where I've said, no matter what, Friday you come here and you're going to be watching some Crusader Kings 2. And I can see why that happened. To spend so many months with the House of Rose and all the different stories that have come out of them, to finally see that closing screen at the end of the Middle Ages in 1453 was a really nice little moment. It was great to share that with so many of you. I thank so many of you guys for staying with me. I know it's really late for a lot of you as well. Some of you, the day's just starting. But it was cool. We got a chance to give away a copy of Crusader Kings as well. DJ Cool Crusader, I'll be sure to send you a Twitch message about that right after the stream is done. But I did want to take a second to thank everybody for sharing the evening with me, making it such a wonderful time. I hope you guys have a great day if you're like me. Let me just take another minute to refresh my friends list or following list. I had an idea about who I could host, but I want to make sure that they are still streaming. So this is somebody from Jesse Quill's channel. 3 p.m. So he's playing a game I really like. And more importantly, somebody from Jesse Quill's channel. He's another smaller streamer. He's based in... Oh, hang on. I think Akakadak is actually in this chat right now. We are going to be hosting Loki87702, somebody who I found through Jesse Quill. She sent him a raid. He was so happy that he got that raid. He's a really nice guy. He's playing the Darkest Dungeon, which I think is an absolutely fantastic game. It's a little bit different from Crusader Kings, but I don't have anybody to compare to Crusader Kings. But I think he is somebody who I would be leaving you in good hands with if I bring you to him. I've only seen him play Skyrim, but Darkest Dungeon is almost a guaranteed crowd pleaser. If nothing else, you have that incredible narration voice. So, let me just queue him up. I don't really have any kind of a stream notification. I would appreciate if you guys hang out and give him a chance, see if it's your kind of a thing. Feel free to say that you came from the Cystic Chalk stream if you want, but it's not required. As for me, I am going to get some much-needed rest. I'm going to take a drink of water, and I think I'm going to collapse in a heap after stretching this massive ache out of my back. So, thank you, everybody. Enjoy your time with Loki. We will be back Monday for the regular stream for sure. I'll see if I do something on the weekend. I can't guarantee it because I do need to play. Well, not play, but I need to do something with a couple of friends today. And then not quite sure what's going to happen on Sunday. But Monday, I'll be back for sure, and I'll figure out what we're going to play. I know it's been Hand of Fate a lot, but maybe we'll change it up. In any case,